Welcome, aspiring witch or wizard, to a comprehensive journey through the magical careers that await beyond the walls of Hogwarts. Tonight, as you settle into the comfort of your dormitory, let us explore the vast tapestry of professional paths that have shaped the wizarding world for centuries. From the ancient arts of alchemy to the modern innovations of curse breaking, each career represents a lifetime of dedication, skill, and magical mastery. Close your eyes and drift into this detailed chronicle of wizarding professions, where every choice opens doors to adventure, service, and the endless pursuit of magical knowledge. In the shadowed corridors of magical law enforcement, where justice and darkness dance an eternal waltz, there exists a brotherhood of witches and wizards whose very names strike fear into the hearts of those who would corrupt the wizarding world with malevolent intent. These are the guardians of justice and order, protectors who stand between innocent magical folk and the forces that would see civilization crumble beneath the weight of unchecked evil. Tonight, as you settle deeper into comfort, let us explore the noble yet perilous careers of those who dedicate their lives to maintaining the delicate balance between light and shadow in our magical society. The most elite among these defenders are the Aurors, whose very title has become synonymous with unwavering courage and relentless pursuit of dark wizards. To become an Auror is to accept a calling that transcends mere profession, transforming into a sacred duty that demands everything one possesses and more than most can give. The path to earning those distinctive robes begins long before graduation from Hogwarts, requiring exceptional marks in defense against the dark arts, transfiguration, charms, potions, and herbology. Only those who achieve exceeds expectations or outstanding in these crucial subjects may even dream of applying for the rigorous training that lies ahead. The 3-year Aura training program stands as one of the most demanding educational experiences in the magical world, designed not merely to teach spells and procedures, but to forge warriors capable of facing humanity's darkest impulses without losing their own souls in the process. Trainees learn advanced combat magic that goes far beyond anything taught in standard Hogwarts curriculum, mastering techniques for dueling multiple opponents simultaneously, while protecting innocent bystanders from crossfire that could prove fatal to untrained civilians. Concealment and disguise become second nature during these formative years, as future Aurors master the art of becoming invisible, not just through disillusionment charms, but through understanding how to blend into any environment, any social situation, any scenario where dark wizards might feel secure enough to reveal their true intentions. They study the psychology of evil with scholarly dedication, learning to think like their quarry, without becoming corrupted by the darkness they must understand so intimately. Perhaps most challenging of all is the stealth and tracking training, which transforms ordinary witches and wizards into hunters, capable of following trails that exist more in probability than physical evidence. They learn to read the subtle signs that dark magic leaves in its wake, understanding how malevolent spells alter the very fabric of reality in ways that can be detected weeks or even months after the original casting. This knowledge comes with psychological costs that few can comprehend, as extended exposure to dark arts residue slowly changes those who study it, leaving marks that are invisible but permanent. The legendary Alastor Moody exemplified what dedication to Auror service could achieve, and what it inevitably cost those who pursued excellence in hunting dark wizards. His career spanned decades of the most dangerous work imaginable, earning him a collection of scars that told the story of every major dark wizard he had captured or killed in the line of duty. The magical eye that replaced his natural vision, the wooden leg that substituted for flesh destroyed by cursed fire, the chunk missing from his nose where a hex had carved away cartilage and bone, Each mark was a testament to encounters that lesser wizards would not have survived. Moody's paranoia became legendary throughout the oral department, but those who worked beside him understood that what others called madness was actually wisdom earned through surviving assassination attempts that would have driven ordinary people to despair or retreat. His habit of testing food for poison, checking every room for hidden enemies, maintaining constant vigilance even during supposedly safe moments. These behaviors were not symptoms of mental illness, but adaptations necessary for someone whose name appeared on every dark wizard's list of priority targets. The devices he created revolutionized oral work, each invention born from painful experience with threats that existing methods couldn't detect or counter. The faux glass that showed the shadowy figures of approaching enemies, growing clearer as danger increased. The sneakoscope that spun and whistled when untrustworthy people were nearby, responding to hostile intent rather than mere magical signatures. The secrecy sensor that vibrated in the presence of concealment and deception, revealing hidden truths that conventional investigation might never uncover. His teaching methods, though harsh, produced auras whose survival rates exceeded anything in departmental history. He understood that kindness in training often translated to casualties in the field, that students who learned to expect comfort and encouragement were unprepared for enemies who showed neither mercy nor restraint. His famous motto of constant vigilance became more than professional advice, but a philosophy of existence that kept his protégés alive when others perished through overconfidence or inadequate preparation. Nymphadora Tonks represented a newer generation of aura, one whose metamorph magus abilities created unique opportunities for undercover work and infiltration missions that would have been impossible for wizards with fixed appearances. Her natural talent for changing her physical features at will made her invaluable for surveillance operations, allowing her to observe suspects without risk of recognition, or to impersonate specific individuals when investigations required such deception. But her abilities also created unprecedented challenges for Aurora leadership, as someone who could alter their appearance completely required new approaches to identity verification and security protocols. Traditional methods for confirming the identity of field operatives proved inadequate when dealing with someone whose face, hair, height, and even apparent age could change within seconds. New magical techniques had to be developed specifically for monitoring and protecting metamorph magi operatives, spells that could verify identity through magical signature rather than physical appearance. Her partnership with senior auras like Moody provided essential mentorship that helped her navigate the psychological challenges of using her abilities in service of justice while maintaining her own sense of identity. The constant shape-shifting required for extended undercover work could lead to disorientation and confusion about one's true self, a condition that affected many metamorph magi who worked in law enforcement or espionage roles. Kingsley Shacklebolt embodied the diplomatic aspects of oral work, demonstrating how the skills developed for tracking dark wizards could be applied to international cooperation and high-level security operations. His role as bodyguard to the Muggle Prime Minister during Voldemort's second rise required not just magical combat ability, but political sophistication and cultural sensitivity that allowed him to operate effectively in non-magical environments. His work bridged the gap between magical law enforcement and Muggle security services, coordinating responses to threats that crossed the boundaries between the two worlds. This required understanding both magical and non-magical approaches to investigation and protection, translating concepts between systems that operated according to fundamentally different principles while maintaining the secrecy that protected both communities. The psychological profiles required for successful Aurora careers reveal why so few applicants complete the demanding training program. Effective dark wizard hunters must possess courage that borders on recklessness, Combined with analytical minds capable of understanding complex magical theory and criminal psychology, they need empathy, sufficient to understand victims' suffering and motivate their dedication to justice, balanced by emotional detachment that allows them to function effectively in situations where normal people would be paralyzed by horror or disgust. Most challenging of all, they must maintain moral clarity while regularly employing methods that peacetime society would consider questionable at best. The authorization to use unforgivable curses in extreme circumstances requires judgment that can distinguish between necessary action and abuse of power, wisdom that comes only through experience that no training program can fully replicate. The daily routine of active auras varies dramatically depending on current assignments and threat levels, but certain elements remain consistent across all specializations. Each day begins with intelligence briefings that update field operatives on current cases, suspected dark wizard activity, and security concerns that might affect ongoing operations. These sessions require not just absorbing factual information, but understanding the implications and connections that might not be immediately obvious. Case assignment meetings follow, where individual auras receive specific missions based on their particular skills and current availability. Some might be tasked with investigating reports of dark magic use in remote locations, requiring travel to areas where magical law enforcement presence is minimal, and backup might be days away. Others focus on surveillance operations in populated areas, observing suspected criminals while maintaining cover identities that allow them to blend into normal wizarding society. The most senior auras often work on long-term investigations that span months or years, building cases against dark wizards whose activities are too sophisticated for quick resolution. These assignments require patience and persistence that constrain even the most dedicated investigators, as progress comes slowly and setbacks are frequent when dealing with opponents who understand magical law enforcement methods intimately. Training never truly ends for active auras, as new threats require constant adaptation and skill development. Regular sessions in advanced combat magic help maintain the reflexes and techniques that might mean the difference between survival and death during unexpected encounters. Updated instruction in detection methods ensures that auras remain current with the latest concealment and deception techniques being used by criminal organizations. Physical fitness requirements reflect the demanding nature of fieldwork that often requires sustained physical exertion under dangerous conditions. Auras must be capable of fighting effectively while injured, maintaining concentration for spellcasting despite pain or exhaustion, and enduring environmental conditions that would incapacitate ordinary wizards. The specialized equipment carried by field operatives represents decades of innovation and refinement, each item designed to address specific threats that auras commonly encounter. Protective clothing incorporates magical defenses that can deflect or absorb curse energy, though the most dangerous dark magic can overwhelm any protection given sufficient power or cleverness in application. Communication devices allow coordination between team members and headquarters, though these systems require constant updating as dark wizards develop new methods for intercepting or jamming magical communications. Emergency portkeys provide rapid extraction from dangerous situations, but their use requires careful timing and positioning to avoid carrying threats back to secure locations. Detection equipment helps identify magical traps, cursed objects, and concealed enemies, though experienced dark wizards know how to create situations where standard detection methods provide false readings or miss genuine threats entirely. The most effective auras learn to combine technological aids with instinctive understanding of how criminal minds operate, using psychological insight to compensate for the limitations of magical devices. Hit wizards represent a different approach to magical law enforcement, specializing in rapid response to emergency situations rather than the extended investigations that characterize most oral work. Their training emphasizes immediate tactical response over long-term strategic thinking, producing officers who can assess threatening situations quickly and apply appropriate force to neutralize dangers before they escalate beyond control. The distinction between auras and hit wizards reflects different philosophies about how magical law enforcement should operate. Auras serve as detectives and specialists, investing time and resources in understanding their targets thoroughly before taking action. Hit wizards function more like emergency responders, arriving at scenes of magical disturbance with the authority and ability to restore order through whatever means prove necessary. This difference in approach attracts different personality types to each career path. Auras tend to be analytical and patient, willing to spend months building cases and gathering evidence before moving against their targets. Hit wizards are typically more action-oriented, preferring immediate results over methodical investigation, comfortable making quick decisions based on limited information. Both careers require exceptional magical ability, but they demand different specializations and training emphasis. Hit wizards focus on combat effectiveness and crowd control, learning techniques for handling multiple opponents simultaneously while minimizing collateral damage to innocent bystanders. Their spell repertoire emphasizes stunning and binding magic that can incapacitate threats without causing permanent harm when possible. Emergency response protocols guide hit wizard operations, providing structured approaches to common scenarios while allowing flexibility for unusual situations that don't fit standard patterns. These procedures are regularly updated based on lessons learned from recent incidents, ensuring that tactical knowledge evolves to address new types of threats as they emerge. The psychological demands of hit wizard work differ significantly from those faced by auras, though both careers exact heavy tolls on practitioners, where auras must cope with extended exposure to the worst aspects of magical society. Hit wizards face the stress of making life or death decisions under extreme time pressure, often with incomplete information about the true nature of threats they're confronting. Obliviators occupy a unique position within magical law enforcement, serving as the guardians of the Statute of Secrecy through their mastery of memory modification magic. Their work requires precision that exceeds almost any other magical profession, as improper memory charms can cause permanent psychological damage or leave traces that might be detected by skilled legerdemains or other memory specialists. The training required for Obliviator certification focuses intensively on the theoretical and practical aspects of memory magic, covering not just the mechanics of memory modification, but the ethical frameworks that guide its appropriate use. Students learn to identify which memories can be safely altered or removed, and which are so fundamental to personality and identity that changing them would cause severe psychological trauma. Understanding Muggle psychology becomes essential for Obliviators who work primarily with non-magical witnesses to magical events, as the integration of modified memories requires knowledge of how non-magical minds process and store experiences. Memories that contradict fundamental Muggle assumptions about reality require especially careful handling to avoid creating cognitive dissonance that could lead to mental instability. The moral weight of memory modification creates psychological challenges that few other professions can match. Obliviators must regularly make decisions about what experiences to remove from innocent people's minds, weighing the protection of magical secrecy against the violation of altering someone's personal history without their knowledge or consent. Quality control measures ensure that memory modifications achieve their intended effects without causing unintended consequences, but monitoring the long-term results of memory work requires ongoing surveillance that can span years or decades. Some Obliviators specialize in follow-up assessments, checking on subjects whose memories were modified to ensure that the alterations remain stable and haven't caused unexpected psychological problems. Collaboration with the Muggle-Worthy Excuse Committee provides cover stories and explanations that help integrate modified memories into subjects' understanding of events, creating coherent narratives that account for gaps or inconsistencies that might otherwise arouse suspicion. This cooperation requires obliviators to understand both magical and non-magical perspectives on unusual events. The most challenging cases involve situations where large numbers of Muggles have witnessed magical activity, requiring coordinated memory modification on a scale that tests the limits of what individual obliviators can accomplish safely. These mass modification events demand careful planning and execution, with multiple specialists working in concert to ensure consistent results across all affected subjects. Emergency response capabilities allow obliviators to deploy rapidly when magical exposure incidents occur, arriving at scenes quickly enough to modify memories before subjects have time to fully process what they've witnessed. Speed becomes crucial in these situations, as fresh memories are easier to modify than those that have been consolidated through sleep and repetition. Security positions throughout the magical world provide essential protection for sensitive locations and important individuals, though the specific requirements and responsibilities vary dramatically depending on the nature of what or whom they're protecting. Ministry of Magic security personnel must understand governmental operations and political dynamics, as threats often emerge from policy disputes or ideological conflicts rather than simple criminal activity. Gringotts security represents a unique challenge, requiring cooperation between wizard guards and goblin security specialists, who bring different approaches and priorities to protection duties. The bank's vast treasure vaults contain artifacts and wealth that attract the most sophisticated criminals in the magical world, requiring security measures that can counter threats ranging from simple theft to complex heist operations planned by criminal organizations with extensive resources and magical expertise. The dragons employed as Vault Guardians represent the most extreme security measure in common use, their presence serving as both deterrent and active defense against unauthorized intrusion. Managing these creatures requires specialists who understand dragon psychology and behavior, ensuring that they remain effective protections, while minimizing the risk of accidents that could harm authorized personnel or legitimate customers. Hogwarts security during peacetime relies primarily on the castle's ancient protective enchantments and the vigilance of staff members who understand the unique challenges of protecting adolescent wizards whose magical abilities are still developing and whose judgment often falls short of their power. During times of increased threat, additional security measures become necessary, requiring coordination between school administration and ministry law enforcement. The career paths available in magical law enforcement attract individuals who understand that protecting others often requires personal sacrifice, whether measured in physical danger, psychological stress, or social isolation that comes from regularly confronting the darker aspects of human nature. Yet for those called to such service, few professions offer greater satisfaction than knowing that their dedication helps maintain the peace and security that allows magical civilization to flourish in safety and secrecy. These guardians of justice and order stand eternal watch against the forces that would corrupt or destroy the wizarding world, their vigilance purchased through prices that most people never see or understand. In the quiet hours between emergencies, when ordinary witches and wizards sleep peacefully in their beds, these protectors remain alert, ready to face whatever darkness may emerge from shadow to threaten the light they have sworn to defend. In the hushed corridors of street, Mungo's Hospital for Magical Maladies and Injuries, where the ancient art of healing meets the infinite complexity of magical medicine. There exists a calling that transcends mere profession to become a sacred trust between healer and patient. These are the caregivers of our magical world, witches and wizards who dedicate their lives to mending not just bodies broken by spell and curse, but spirits wounded by encounters with forces that should never touch innocent lives. Tonight, as healing sleep begins to work its own gentle magic upon your weary form, let us explore the noble professions of those who restore wholeness to a world where magic can both harm and heal with equal power. The path to becoming a healer requires not just exceptional magical ability, but a depth of compassion that can withstand daily exposure to suffering that would break lesser souls. The training begins immediately after Hogwarts graduation, with aspiring healers entering rigorous apprenticeship programs that combine theoretical study with hands-on experience under the guidance of master practitioners who have spent decades perfecting their craft. These apprenticeships last a minimum of 5 years, though many specializations require additional training that can extend the preparation period to 7 or even 10 years before full certification is achieved. The theoretical foundation encompasses subjects that go far beyond what most wizards learn during their formal education. Advanced anatomy and physiology explore how magical energy flows through living bodies, understanding the complex interactions between physical form and magical essence that determine how spells affect different individuals. Potion theory reaches levels of sophistication that rival the most advanced alchemical studies, as healers must understand not just which potions produce desired effects, but how those effects interact with ongoing magical treatments and the unique magical signatures of individual patients. Curse damage repair represents one of the most challenging specializations within the healing arts, requiring intimate knowledge of dark magic without allowing that knowledge to corrupt the healer's own magical essence. These specialists study the ways that malevolent spells alter living tissue, learning to recognize the distinctive signatures left by different types of curses and developing techniques for reversing damage that was intended to be permanent. The psychological toll of such work is enormous, as curse damage healers regularly encounter the results of deliberate cruelty inflicted by wizards who delighted in causing suffering. The long-term spell damage ward at Street, Mungo's houses patients whose conditions represent the most complex challenges in magical medicine. Cases where single incidents have created injuries that affect every aspect of the victim's existence. Frank and Alice Longbottom exemplify the tragic reality of such cases, their minds shattered by prolonged exposure to the Cruciatus curse, until they became shadows of their former selves, unable to recognize their own son, or remember the lives they had lived before their torture. Healers who work with such patients must possess emotional resilience that allows them to provide care and comfort without being overwhelmed by the knowledge that their efforts may never restore what was lost. They learn to find meaning in small improvements, to celebrate moments of clarity or connection that might last only minutes, but represent victories against the darkness that sought to destroy everything human and precious in their patients' minds. Magical accidents and injuries present different but equally demanding challenges, as the unpredictable nature of accidental magic can create conditions that no textbook or training program could anticipate. Young wizards whose magical abilities manifest in unexpected ways, experienced practitioners whose spells interact with environmental factors to produce unintended consequences, researchers whose experiments exceed the boundaries of safe practice, all require healing approaches that must be developed in real time, as healers encounter situations they have never seen before. The emergency ward operates under conditions of controlled chaos, where healers must make rapid decisions about treatment priorities while working with incomplete information about the nature of injuries they're treating. Triage protocols help determine which patients require immediate attention and which can wait for more thorough assessment. But magical injuries often defy conventional medical logic, creating situations where apparently minor symptoms mask life-threatening conditions or seemingly severe damage proves to be easily correctable with proper treatment. Madame Pomfrey at Hogwarts represents the specialized field of educational healing, where the challenges involve treating adolescent wizards whose magical development creates unique vulnerabilities and complications. Young witches and wizards experiment with spells beyond their abilities, engage in activities that adult wizards would consider recklessly dangerous, and suffer injuries that reflect both magical accidents and the normal physical mishaps of adolescence, magnified by magical enhancement. Her approach to healing emphasizes not just treating immediate injuries, but educating her patients about magical safety and responsible spell use, understanding that preventing future accidents is as important as healing current ones. The school environment requires healers who can work effectively with young people who may be embarrassed about their injuries, reluctant to explain how accidents occurred, or fearful of punishment for breaking school rules. The psychological aspects of magical healing extend far beyond treating obvious mental trauma to encompass the emotional and spiritual dimensions of recovery from magical injury. Patients who have survived curse attacks often suffer from forms of post-traumatic stress that include both psychological and magical components, requiring treatment approaches that address both the mind and the magical essence that was targeted by their attackers. Memory healing represents one of the most delicate specializations, working with patients whose minds have been damaged by improper obliviation, legilimency attacks, or exposure to memory-affecting curses and potions. These healers must understand the complex structures of human memory and consciousness, learning techniques for repairing damaged mental pathways without further traumatizing patients who may have already lost significant portions of their personal histories. The ethical challenges faced by memory healers include questions about whether patients should be told about memories that cannot be recovered, how to help them construct coherent identities when significant portions of their past remain inaccessible, and whether therapeutic interventions should focus on acceptance of loss or continued attempts at restoration that may prove futile and cause additional psychological harm. Magical creature healing requires expertise that combines traditional healing knowledge with deep understanding of non-human magical biology, as the medical needs of dragons, unicorns, phoenixes, and other magical beings differ dramatically from those of witches and wizards. These specialists often work in remote locations where magical creatures gather, establishing treatment facilities in environments that support the natural healing processes of their patients, while providing access to specialized magical interventions when needed. Dragon healing presents particular challenges due to the enormous size and dangerous nature of these creatures, requiring healers who can work effectively while maintaining safe distances from patients whose natural defensive reactions could prove fatal, even when they're trying to help. Fireproof clothing and magical shielding provide some protection, but dragon healers must also understand the psychology of these proud creatures, earning their trust and cooperation through patience and respect, rather than attempting to force compliance through magical coercion. Unicorn healing requires different skills entirely, as these pure creatures respond only to healers whose hearts and intentions are completely free from selfishness or cruelty. The training for unicorn specialists includes not just medical knowledge, but spiritual development that purifies the healer's magical essence until it resonates with the innocence and purity that unicorns represent. Few healers achieve the moral clarity required for this specialization, and those who do often find that maintaining such purity becomes increasingly difficult in a world where compromise and pragmatic decisions are often necessary for survival. Charlie Weasley's work at the Romanian Dragon Sanctuary exemplifies the career path of creature specialists who combine healing knowledge with conservation efforts, protecting endangered magical species while advancing understanding of their unique medical needs. His transition from Hogwarts Quidditch captain to dragon researcher demonstrates how passion for magical creatures can lead to careers that provide both personal fulfillment and essential service to the magical community. The physical demands of dragon work require exceptional fitness and reflexes, as handlers must be able to move quickly to avoid dangerous situations while maintaining the calm demeanor that keeps dragons from becoming agitated or aggressive. Burns from dragon fire are common occupational hazards, requiring specialized healing knowledge that most general practitioners never develop, as dragon fire burns differently from ordinary magical flames and responds to different treatment approaches. Breeding specialists occupy a unique position between creature healing and commercial enterprise, as their work involves understanding the reproductive biology of magical species while managing breeding programs that supply creatures for various purposes throughout the wizarding world. Legal breeders work within ministry regulations that protect both the welfare of breeding animals and the safety of wizarding communities that might be affected by escaped or improperly managed creatures. The distinction between legal and illegal breeding operations reflects broader tensions within magical society about the appropriate relationship between wizards and other magical beings. Legal breeders emphasize creature welfare and sustainable population management, while illegal operations often prioritize profit over the health and happiness of their animals, creating conditions that can result in dangerous creatures with unpredictable temperaments and magical abilities. Hagrid's breeding experiments at Hogwarts illustrate both the potential benefits and serious dangers of unauthorized creature breeding, as his creation of blast-ended scroots produced magical hybrids whose unpredictable nature and dangerous capabilities posed risks that he hadn't fully anticipated. His genuine love for magical creatures couldn't compensate for lack of formal training in creature genetics and development, demonstrating why breeding programs require specialized knowledge that goes far beyond simple affection for animals. The business aspects of creature breeding include understanding market demand for different types of magical animals, developing relationships with suppliers of specialized feeds and care products, and maintaining breeding records that track genetic lineages and health histories across multiple generations. Successful breeders must balance commercial viability with ethical responsibilities to their animals and the broader magical community that depends on healthy, well-socialized creatures for various purposes. Magizoology as an academic discipline provides the theoretical foundation for all creature-related careers, encompassing not just the biology and behavior of magical species, but their roles in magical ecosystems and their relationships with wizarding society. Newt Scamander's contributions to this field revolutionized understanding of creature behavior and established many of the conservation principles that guide modern magical wildlife management. His field research methods, involving direct observation of creatures in their natural habitats while maintaining minimal interference with their normal behaviors, became the standard approach for studying species whose magical abilities could be disrupted by the presence of human observers. The development of specialized concealment techniques allowed researchers to gather behavioral data over extended periods, creating comprehensive understanding of creature life cycles, social structures, and magical development patterns. The publication of Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them provided the first comprehensive guide to magical creature identification and safety procedures, giving both professional creature handlers and ordinary wizards the knowledge needed to respond appropriately when encountering unfamiliar species. The book's emphasis on understanding creature behavior, rather than simply avoiding or controlling magical animals, reflected Scamander's philosophy that coexistence required knowledge and respect, rather than fear and domination. Conservation efforts in the magical world face unique challenges, as many endangered species possess magical abilities that make traditional wildlife protection methods inadequate or inappropriate. Invisible creatures require detection methods that don't rely on visual observation, while species that can teleport or phase through physical barriers need protection approaches that account for abilities that defy conventional understanding of animal behavior. International cooperation becomes essential when protecting migratory species whose ranges cross national boundaries, requiring coordination between different magical governments with varying approaches to creature protection and wildlife management. The International Confederation of Wizards maintains committees dedicated to species protection, but enforcement of international agreements often proves challenging when dealing with countries whose magical communities have different cultural relationships with magical creatures. Habitat preservation requires understanding not just the physical environments that different species need, but the magical conditions that support their reproduction and development. Some creatures require specific concentrations of magical energy that exist only in certain locations, while others need access to particular types of magical plants or minerals that may be rare or valuable for other purposes, creating competition between conservation needs and commercial interests. Research into magical creature biology continues to reveal new understanding about the fundamental nature of magic itself, as the ways that creatures channel and manipulate magical energy often differ significantly from wizarding approaches to magic use. These differences provide insights that can lead to developments in magical theory and practical applications that benefit both human and creature communities. The career satisfaction available to healers and caregivers stems from the direct impact their work has on reducing suffering and restoring wholeness to those who have been injured or damaged by the darker aspects of magical existence. Each patient successfully treated represents a victory against forces that would diminish or destroy the capacity for joy, love, and meaningful existence that makes life worth living. Yet the emotional costs of such work accumulate over time, as healers regularly encounter suffering that could have been prevented if people had made different choices, or if society had better systems for protecting the vulnerable. The knowledge that some injuries are the result of deliberate cruelty inflicted by those who delight in causing pain creates psychological burdens that few other professions demand, requiring healers to maintain hope and compassion, despite regular exposure to evidence of humanity's capacity for evil. The relationships formed between healers and their patients often extend far beyond the immediate treatment period, as the vulnerability and trust involved in healing create bonds that can last lifetime. Many healers find that their most meaningful rewards come not from professional recognition or financial compensation, but from letters received years later from patients whose lives were restored through their skill and dedication. Training programs for healers emphasize not just technical competence, but the development of emotional resilience and spiritual strength that can sustain practitioners through the inevitable losses and disappointments that accompany any career dedicated to fighting against entropy and dissolution. These programs recognize that healers must learn to process their own grief and frustration without allowing those emotions to compromise their ability to provide care for future patients who will need the same dedication and skill. The magical healing arts represent humanity at its most noble and compassionate, demonstrating that the same magical abilities that can be used to harm and destroy can instead be channeled toward restoration and renewal. In a world where magic amplifies both the best and worst aspects of human nature, healers choose consistently to use their power in service of life, hope, and the fundamental belief that every being deserves the chance to experience wholeness and peace. These caregivers work in quiet dedication, often unrecognized by those whose lives they save and restore, finding satisfaction in the knowledge that their efforts contribute to a world where magic serves healing rather than harm, where knowledge is used to mend rather than break, and where the most powerful spell of all remains the simple commitment to ease suffering wherever it is found. In the hallowed halls of learning, where knowledge becomes legacy and wisdom passes from one generation to the next, there exists a sacred trust between those who possess understanding and those who hunger to acquire it. The scholars and educators of the wizarding world serve as the keepers of our magical heritage, preserving ancient wisdom while nurturing young minds that will shape the future of magical society. Tonight, as the peaceful rhythm of learning settles over your consciousness like a gentle spell, let us explore the noble calling of those who dedicate their lives to the pursuit and transmission of knowledge in all its magical forms. The path to becoming a Hogwarts professor represents one of the most prestigious and demanding career trajectories in magical education, requiring not merely mastery of a subject, but the rare ability to inspire young minds while managing the unique challenges that come with teaching adolescent wizards whose magical abilities often exceed their wisdom and judgment. The selection process for faculty positions involves rigorous evaluation that goes far beyond academic credentials to assess whether candidates possess the patience, creativity, and strength of character needed to guide magical education. Each subject area demands different qualifications and expertise, reflecting the vast breadth of magical knowledge that students must acquire during their 7 years at the castle. Transfiguration professors must demonstrate not only perfect technical control over the most complex transformations, but deep understanding of the theoretical principles that govern the fundamental alteration of matter and energy. The precision required for advanced transfiguration work leaves no room for error, as mistakes in teaching can result in students attempting transformations that could leave them permanently altered or trapped between states of being. Professor McGonagall exemplified the highest standards of transfiguration mastery, her animagus transformation representing just one aspect of abilities that encompassed everything from basic object transformation to the complex magical architecture that protected and maintained Hogwarts itself. Her teaching methods combined strict discipline with genuine care for student welfare, understanding that the power to reshape reality carried responsibilities that required maturity and wisdom to handle safely. The progression from talented student to master educator often spans decades of study and practice beyond graduation, as aspiring professors typically pursue advanced research in their chosen fields, while gaining practical experience through apprenticeships with established masters. This extended preparation ensures that faculty members possess not just academic knowledge, but the practical wisdom that comes from applying theoretical understanding to real-world challenges and discoveries. Defense against the dark arts presents unique challenges for educators, as the subject requires intimate knowledge of dangerous magic that must be taught responsibly to students who may not fully grasp the implications of what they're learning. The cursed nature of the position, which prevented any professor from remaining in the role for more than one academic year, reflected deeper magical forces that recognized the inherent dangers of transmitting knowledge about dark arts to successive generations of young wizards. The most effective defense professors combined theoretical expertise with practical experience, having faced real dark magic in circumstances that tested their abilities under genuine threat. This experiential knowledge proved essential for teaching students to recognize and respond appropriately to dangers they might encounter, while maintaining the moral framework necessary to use such knowledge defensively rather than aggressively. Remus Lupin's brief tenure demonstrated how personal experience with dark magic, even as an unwilling victim, could enhance teaching effectiveness by providing insights that purely academic study could never achieve. His lycanthropy, while creating personal challenges and social stigma, gave him intimate understanding of transformation magic and the psychological impacts of magical conditions that affected his students' ability to learn and grow. The practical components of defense education required careful balance between providing realistic preparation for genuine threats while maintaining school safety protocols that protected students from unnecessary danger. Advanced students needed exposure to actual dark magic effects to understand what they might face. But such exposure carried risks that demanded constant vigilance and immediate access to qualified medical assistance when demonstrations went wrong. Potions instruction represents one of the most technically demanding subjects in the curriculum, requiring professors who understand not just the mechanical processes of brewing, but the complex magical theory that governs how different ingredients interact under various conditions. The precision required for successful potion-making leaves little room for creative interpretation, as deviation from established procedures can result in explosive failures or dangerous chemical reactions that threaten entire classrooms. Professor Snape's approach to potions education, while harsh and often intimidating, reflected genuine understanding of the subject's inherent dangers and the catastrophic consequences that could result from student carelessness or inadequate preparation. His extensive knowledge of antidotes and counteragents, developed through years of research into dark arts applications, made him uniquely qualified to handle the medical emergencies that inevitably arose when students attempted brews beyond their skill levels. The art of teaching potions requires not just technical expertise, but psychological insight into how different students approach the methodical precision that successful brewing demands. Some students thrive under strict protocols and detailed instructions, while others need more flexible guidance that allows them to understand underlying principles rather than simply following recipes. Effective potions professors learn to adapt their teaching styles to accommodate these different learning approaches while maintaining the safety standards that protect everyone in the classroom. Advanced potions research often involves developing new formulations or improving existing recipes, work that requires extensive knowledge of ingredient properties and their interactions under various magical conditions. This research contributes to broader magical knowledge, while providing professors with cutting-edge expertise that enhances their classroom instruction and keeps their teaching current with developing understanding in the field. Herbology education combines botanical science with practical magic, as students learn not just to identify and cultivate magical plants, but to understand their role in the broader magical ecosystem and their applications in potions, healing, and other magical practices. Professor Sprout's expertise encompassed everything from the basic care of everyday magical plants to the specialized knowledge needed for handling dangerous species like Devil's Snare and Venomous Tentacula. The greenhouse environments required for magical plant cultivation create unique teaching challenges, as different species require specific conditions that may conflict with human comfort or safety. Professors must maintain multiple climate zones while ensuring student safety in environments that may include toxic spores, aggressive plant behavior, or atmospheric conditions that can affect magical ability or physical health. Seasonal variations in plant behavior add complexity to herbology instruction, as lesson plans must accommodate the natural cycles that govern magical plant growth and reproduction. Some species can only be safely handled during specific times of year, while others require student interaction during growth phases that may not align conveniently with academic schedules. The practical applications of herbology extend throughout magical society, making this subject essential preparation for careers in healing, potion making, magical research, and creature care. Students who develop genuine expertise in magical botany often find employment opportunities in fields they hadn't initially considered, as plant knowledge proves valuable in contexts ranging from curse breaking to magical law enforcement. Charms instruction focuses on the practical magic that wizards use most frequently in daily life, making it arguably the most immediately useful subject in the curriculum. Professor Flitwick's expertise covered everything from basic utility charms that make household tasks manageable to complex enchantments that protect buildings or create permanent magical effects that last for centuries. The progression from simple charms to advanced enchantment work requires students to develop not just technical skill, but creative problem-solving abilities that allow them to adapt existing spells for new purposes or combine multiple charms to achieve effects that no single spell could accomplish. This creative application of magical knowledge represents the difference between competent spellcasters and true magical artists. Teaching charms effectively requires understanding how different students approach magical learning, as success depends more on mental attitude and conceptual understanding than on raw magical power. Students who struggle with more dramatic subjects like transfiguration or defense often excel in charms once they understand that precision and intention matter more than strength or aggression. The safety considerations in Charms Education center more on preventing accidental magical effects than protecting against dangerous spells, as most charms are designed to be helpful rather than harmful. However, the cumulative effect of multiple charms or the misapplication of powerful enchantments can create hazardous situations that require immediate intervention and careful remediation. Astronomy instruction provides the theoretical foundation for understanding how celestial movements influence magical phenomena, knowledge that proves essential for advanced magical practices including divination, potion making, and spell timing. Professor Sinistra's classes introduce students to the complex relationships between astronomical events and magical effectiveness, concepts that many students initially dismissed as abstract theory, but later discovered to be crucial for advanced magical work. The nocturnal schedule required for practical astronomy observations creates unique challenges for both students and instructors, as meaningful stargazing must occur during late hours when weather conditions permit clear viewing. These scheduling constraints often conflict with other academic demands and the need for adequate rest, requiring careful balance to maintain educational effectiveness without compromising student health. The mathematical components of astronomical calculation require students to develop analytical skills that complement their magical abilities, understanding that precise measurement and calculation can be as important as intuitive, magical sense for achieving desired results. Many students struggle with this intersection of magical and mathematical thinking, requiring patient instruction that helps them integrate both approaches. Advanced astronomy study often involves prediction of future celestial events and their magical implications, knowledge that proves valuable for planning complex magical operations or understanding historical events that occurred under specific astronomical conditions. This predictive capability makes astronomy knowledge valuable for careers in magical research, divination, and strategic planning. The role of Hogwarts librarian represents a unique position that combines traditional library science with the specialized challenges of managing magical texts and ensuring student safety while maintaining access to knowledge. Madame Pince's dedication to protecting the library's collection reflected understanding that magical books require different preservation and security measures than ordinary texts, as many volumes contain active magical properties that can affect readers in unpredictable ways. The restricted section policies balance educational access with safety concerns, ensuring that students with legitimate research needs can access advanced magical texts while preventing casual browsing that might expose unprepared minds to dangerous knowledge. The criteria for granting access require careful evaluation of student maturity and research objectives, as some magical texts can cause permanent psychological damage to readers who lack sufficient theoretical foundation or protective training. Cataloging and organizing magical texts presents challenges that Muggle librarians never encounter, as magical books may reorganize themselves, hide their true contents, or actively resist being found by readers they consider unworthy. The organizational systems must account for these magical properties, while maintaining usability for legitimate researchers and casual readers seeking assistance with coursework. Preservation of ancient magical texts requires specialized knowledge of conservation techniques that account for magical deterioration processes, environmental factors that affect magical stability, and the unique properties of materials used in magical book production. Some texts require specific storage conditions or protective enchantments to remain readable, while others improve with age as their magical properties mature and develop. The research support provided by magical librarians extends beyond simple book location to include guidance on research methodologies, evaluation of source reliability, and assistance with accessing specialized collections that may not be physically present in the library, but available through magical networks that connect repositories of magical knowledge throughout the wizarding world. Historical research in magical society faces unique challenges and opportunities, as magical preservation techniques can maintain documentary evidence in perfect condition for centuries, while magical concealment and protection spells may hide crucial information from researchers who lack appropriate access or understanding. Professional historians must develop skills that combine traditional scholarly methods with magical detection and analysis techniques. Bathilda Bagshot's work on magical history established methodological standards that subsequent historians have built upon, demonstrating how oral traditions preserved by magical communities can be verified and integrated with documentary evidence to create comprehensive understanding of historical events. Her research techniques for interviewing elderly wizards and witches whose magical longevity provided first-hand accounts of events from centuries past became standard practice for historical researchers. The challenges of magical historical research include distinguishing between factual accounts and legendary embellishments, as magical communities tend to preserve stories that emphasize dramatic or miraculous elements, while potentially minimizing mundane details that provide context for understanding how historical events actually unfolded. Professional historians must develop skills for extracting reliable information from sources that may be colored by centuries of retelling and cultural interpretation. Archaeological investigation of magical sites requires specialized techniques that account for protective enchantments, curse traps, and magical preservation effects that may have maintained ancient locations in states that provide unprecedented insight into historical magical practices. These investigations often require collaboration between historians, curse breakers, and magical theorists to safely access and interpret archaeological evidence. The publication and dissemination of magical historical research faces unique challenges related to maintaining the statute of secrecy while contributing to broader academic knowledge, as some historical discoveries may have implications that extend beyond the magical community. Professional historians must balance scholarly integrity with security considerations that protect magical society from unwanted attention or interference. Archives and records management in magical institutions requires understanding of both traditional archival practices and the magical properties that affect document preservation and organization over extended periods. Some magical documents are designed to update themselves automatically as circumstances change, while others may be enchanted to reveal different information to different readers based on their qualifications or intentions. The training required for magical archival work includes traditional library science education, supplemented with specialized courses in magical document handling, preservation enchantments, and security protocols that protect sensitive information while maintaining accessibility for legitimate research purposes. Professional archivists must understand both the technical aspects of document preservation and the magical theory that governs how enchanted texts behave over time. Professional writing in the magical world encompasses everything from educational textbooks that must present complex magical theory in accessible formats to popular literature that entertains while respecting the cultural values and traditions of magical society. The publishing industry serves diverse audiences with varying levels of magical education and different cultural backgrounds, requiring authors who can adapt their writing styles and content approaches to meet specific market needs. Educational publishing requires authors who combine subject matter expertise with pedagogical understanding, creating textbooks that not only contain accurate information, but present it in ways that facilitate learning and retention. The most successful educational authors often have classroom teaching experience that informs their understanding of how students learn and what types of explanations and examples prove most effective for different learning styles. The review and approval processes for educational materials ensure that textbooks meet academic standards while avoiding content that might be politically controversial or culturally insensitive. These processes involve evaluation by subject matter experts, educational specialists, and cultural advisors who assess both technical accuracy and appropriateness for intended audiences. Popular magical literature serves important cultural functions beyond simple entertainment, providing shared narratives that help define magical identity and values while exploring themes and issues that resonate with contemporary magical society. Authors of popular fiction often address social concerns or cultural tensions through metaphorical storytelling that allows readers to engage with difficult topics in safe fictional contexts. The economics of magical publishing reflect the relatively small size of the magical reading public compared to Muggle markets, requiring business models that can sustain publication of diverse works despite limited market size. Many magical publishers specialize in specific niches or maintain diverse catalogs that cross-subsidize less commercially viable but culturally important works through profits from more popular publications. Research publication in magical academic journals follows peer review processes similar to those in Muggle academia, but adapted to account for the unique properties of magical knowledge and the security considerations that may limit access to certain types of research findings. The most prestigious journals maintain international editorial boards that ensure published research meets global standards for magical scholarship. The career satisfaction available to educators and scholars stems from the profound impact their work has on preserving and transmitting the accumulated wisdom of magical civilization while nurturing the intellectual and magical development of future generations. Each student successfully educated represents not just individual achievement, but contribution to the continuity of magical knowledge and culture that connects past, present, and future. The challenges faced by magical educators include adapting traditional teaching methods to account for the increasing complexity of magical knowledge and the changing needs of students who live in a world where magical and non-magical influences intersect in unprecedented ways. Modern magical education must prepare students for careers and lives that may require integration of magical and Muggle knowledge in ways that previous generations never encountered. The rewards of scholarly and educational careers extend beyond financial compensation to include the intellectual satisfaction of advancing human understanding and the personal fulfillment that comes from witnessing student growth and, quote, development. Many educators find their greatest satisfaction in letters received years later from former students whose lives were changed by knowledge and inspiration gained in their classrooms. Professional development for educators requires ongoing learning and adaptation as magical knowledge continues to evolve and expand, with new discoveries and theoretical developments requiring updates to curriculum and teaching methods. The most effective magical educators maintain active research interests that keep them current with developments in their fields while contributing to the advancement of magical knowledge through their own scholarly work. The collegial relationships formed within academic institutions provide intellectual stimulation and emotional support that sustain educators through the challenges and frustrations that accompany any career dedicated to serving others. These professional communities foster collaboration and knowledge sharing that enhances educational effectiveness while creating networks of mutual support that extend throughout careers and often into retirement. In the quiet moments between classes and conferences, when the castle settles into the peaceful rhythm of learning and discovery, these guardians of knowledge continue their sacred work of preserving wisdom while nurturing the minds that will carry magical civilization forward into whatever futures await in the turning pages of time yet to be written. In the workshops and forges where magic takes physical form through the skilled hands of master craftspeople, there exists an ancient tradition that transforms raw materials into instruments of wonder through patience, precision, and generations of accumulated wisdom. These are the artisans of the wizarding world, creators whose dedication to their craft produces the tools and treasures that make magical life possible. Tonight, as the gentle rhythm of creativity flows through your consciousness like inspiration made manifest, let us explore the noble professions of those who shape magic itself through the mastery of ancient arts passed down through bloodlines and bound by sacred oaths of excellence. The wand maker stands at the pinnacle of magical craftsmanship, creating the most intimate and essential tools that every witch and wizard will ever possess. The art of wandcraft represents one of the oldest and most revered magical professions, requiring not just technical skill, but intuitive understanding of the mysterious forces that bind magical cores to wooden shells, creating instruments that become extensions of their wielders' very souls. The relationship between wand maker and customer transcends simple commerce to become something approaching spiritual guidance, as the craftsman must understand not just the technical properties of different materials, but the deeper magical essence that determines which wand will choose which wizard. Garrick Ollivander exemplified the highest traditions of wandcraft, his family shop serving generations of British witches and wizards with instruments that were individually crafted masterpieces rather than mass-produced commodities. His reputation for remembering every wand he had ever sold reflected not mere commercial record-keeping, but genuine understanding that each wand represented a unique magical partnership whose success or failure would influence the entire course of its owner's magical development. The selection of core materials requires knowledge that combines magical theory with practical experience gathered over decades of experimentation and observation. Phoenix feathers, dragon heartstrings, and unicorn hairs each possess distinctive magical properties that interact differently with various wood types, creating combinations that may prove perfectly suited to specific magical temperaments while remaining completely unsuitable for others. The most skilled wand makers maintain relationships with creatures that provide core materials voluntarily, understanding that coerced or harvested cores lack the willing cooperation that produces the most powerful and reliable magical instruments. The preparation of wood for wand construction involves processes that can span months or even years, as different tree species require specific treatment methods that account for their individual magical properties and seasonal variations in magical potency. Woods harvested during particular lunar phases or astronomical events may possess enhanced properties that make them suitable for specialized applications, while trees that have been exposed to specific magical influences during their growth may develop unique characteristics that no amount of processing can replicate. The actual crafting process combines traditional woodworking techniques with magical procedures that have been refined through centuries of trial and error, each wand-making family developing proprietary methods that reflect their particular understanding of how magical energy flows through crafted objects. The shaping and carving must account not just for aesthetic considerations, but for the precise dimensions and proportions that optimize magical conductivity, as even slight variations in length, thickness, or flexibility can dramatically affect a wand's performance characteristics. The integration of core materials into prepared wooden shells requires timing and technique that cannot be taught through books or formal instruction, but must be learned through apprenticeship under master craftsmen who can demonstrate the subtle procedures that determine whether a wand will become a powerful magical tool or merely an expensive piece of carved wood. The moment when core and wood accept each other creates a magical resonance that experienced wand makers can sense intuitively, confirming that the construction process has succeeded in creating a genuine magical instrument. Quality control in wand making relies heavily on testing procedures that evaluate not just the basic functionality of completed wands, but their suitability for different types of magic and their compatibility with various magical temperaments. Master wand makers develop relationships with trusted wizards whose magical signatures they understand thoroughly, allowing them to test new wands under controlled conditions that reveal their strengths and limitations without risking damage to either the instrument or the tester. The international variations in wand-making traditions reflect cultural differences in magical practice and availability of materials, as wand makers in different regions work with locally available woods and cores that possess properties suited to the magical styles prevalent in their areas. European wand makers traditionally favor unicorn hair cores for their consistency and reliability, while American craftsmen often prefer thunderbird tail feathers for their power and adaptability to different magical applications. Grigorovich represented the Eastern European tradition of wand making that emphasized innovation and experimentation over strict adherence to traditional methods. His willingness to explore new core materials and construction techniques, leading to instruments with unique properties that attracted customers from throughout the magical world. His reputation for creating wands with unusual capabilities made him a preferred supplier for wizards whose magical needs couldn't be met by more conventional instruments. The business aspects of wand making include managing inventory of rare materials, whose availability may be subject to seasonal variations, international trade restrictions, or changes in the populations of creatures that provide essential components. Successful wand makers maintain relationships with suppliers throughout the magical world, while developing alternative sources that ensure continuity of production even when preferred materials become temporarily unavailable. Customer relationships in wand making extend far beyond the initial sale, as responsible craftsmen maintain lifelong connections with wand owners who may require repairs, modifications, or replacement instruments as their magical abilities develop and change over time. These ongoing relationships provide wand makers with valuable feedback about long-term performance characteristics, while ensuring that customers receive the support needed to maintain their instruments in optimal condition. The mystical aspects of wand making remain partially mysterious even to master craftsmen, as the selection process through which wands choose their owners involves magical forces that resist complete understanding or control. The most skilled wand makers learn to facilitate this selection rather than attempting to direct it, understanding that successful matches depend on subtle compatibility factors that transcend rational analysis. Apprenticeship in wand making typically begins in childhood, as the sensitivity to magical resonances required for master-level work develops best when cultivated from an early age. Through constant exposure to the materials and processes involved in wand construction, young apprentices spend years learning to distinguish between different wood types by touch, developing the tactile sensitivity needed to evaluate magical properties through direct contact with raw materials. The potioneer's art represents another pinnacle of magical craftsmanship, requiring precision that exceeds even the most demanding mundane chemistry, while incorporating magical principles that can transform ordinary ingredients into substances possessing properties that defy conventional understanding of matter and energy. The brewing of potions combines scientific methodology with intuitive understanding of how magical essences interact under specific conditions of temperature, timing, and environmental influence. Professional potioneers serve diverse markets that range from medical applications requiring absolute reliability and safety to specialized formulations created for specific customers with unique requirements or unusual magical pate conditions. The most successful practitioners develop expertise in particular categories of potions, while maintaining sufficient breadth of knowledge to handle the varied requests that characterize a thriving practice. The sourcing of ingredients for professional potion making requires extensive knowledge of suppliers, seasonal availability, and quality assessment techniques that ensure only the finest materials enter into finished products. Many ingredients lose potency rapidly after harvesting, requiring careful coordination between suppliers and brewers to minimize the time between collection and use while maintaining optimal storage conditions that preserve magical properties. The preparation of ingredients often represents the most time-consuming aspect of professional potion making, as different components require specific processing methods that may involve precise timing, particular tools, or environmental conditions that can only be achieved through careful planning and preparation. Some ingredients must be processed immediately upon receipt, while others improve through aging processes that may take months or years to complete. The brewing process itself demands concentration and attention to detail that few other professions require, as even momentary lapses in focus can result in batches that are not merely unsuccessful but actually dangerous to handle or consume. The timing of ingredient additions, the precise control of heat and stirring, the recognition of visual and aromatic cues that indicate proper progression through brewing stages, all require skills that develop only through extensive practice under expert supervision. Quality control procedures for professional potions include testing methods that evaluate both the intended effects and potential side effects of finished products, ensuring that customers receive safe and effective formulations that meet their specific needs. The most responsible potioneers maintain detailed records of ingredients, brewing conditions, and customer feedback that allow them to track the long-term performance of their products while identifying opportunities for improvement. The regulatory environment governing commercial potion production includes licensing requirements, safety inspections, and quality standards that protect consumers, while ensuring that practitioners possess the knowledge and facilities needed to produce safe and effective products. These regulations reflect the serious health risks associated with improperly prepared potions, while providing frameworks that support legitimate businesses serving important community needs. Specialized applications of potion making include medical formulations that require collaboration with healers and medical professionals, beauty and cosmetic potions that enhance physical appearance or comfort, and utility potions that solve practical problems or provide conveniences that improve daily life. Each category requires different expertise and presents unique challenges related to effectiveness, safety, and customer satisfaction. The research and development aspects of professional potion making involve experimentation with new ingredients, innovative brewing techniques, and novel applications of established formulations. This research requires not just technical knowledge but creativity and willingness to accept failure as part of the learning process that ultimately leads to breakthrough discoveries and improved products. Curse breaking represents one of the most dangerous and intellectually demanding magical professions, requiring practitioners who can understand and counter magical protections that were designed by some of history's most skilled and devious magical practitioners. The work combines archaeological expertise with advanced magical knowledge, as curse breakers must understand both the historical contexts in which protective magic was created and the technical methods needed to overcome barriers that were intended to be permanent and lethal. The Gringotts curse-breaking department employs the most skilled practitioners in the field, sending teams to investigate treasure sites throughout the world, where ancient magical protections guard valuable artifacts and precious metals. These expeditions require careful planning and preparation, as the magical traps encountered in ancient tombs and forgotten vaults can kill or permanently disable even experienced professionals who approach them without adequate knowledge and protection. Bill Weasley's career progression from Hogwarts student to senior cursebreaker illustrates the development path typical for practitioners in this field, beginning with exceptional academic performance in subjects related to magical theory and defensive magic, followed by specialized training that combines classroom instruction with supervised fieldwork under expert mentors. The transition from student to professional requires not just technical competence but psychological preparation for work that regularly involves life-threatening dangers. The international scope of curse-breaking work requires practitioners who can adapt to different magical traditions and cultural approaches to protective magic, as the techniques used by ancient Egyptian tomb builders differ significantly from those employed by European castle architects or Asian treasure guardians. Successful curse breakers develop expertise in multiple magical traditions, while maintaining sensitivity to local customs and legal requirements that govern archaeological activities. The collaborative aspects of curse breaking include working with historians who can provide context about the origins and purposes of protected sites, archaeologists who understand proper excavation and preservation techniques, and magical theorists who can analyze complex protective spells and suggest approaches for safe removal or circumvention. These team relationships require communication skills and professional flexibility that complement technical magical abilities. The ethical considerations in curse breaking relate to questions about cultural heritage, appropriate handling of artifacts with religious or cultural significance, and the balance between recovering valuable objects and preserving historical sites for future study. Professional curse breakers must navigate these concerns while meeting the commercial objectives of employers who fund expensive and dangerous expeditions. The physical demands of curse breaking work include extended periods in challenging environments, exposure to magical energies that can cause both immediate injury and long-term health effects, and the need to maintain peak physical condition that allows rapid response to unexpected dangers. Many practitioners develop specialized fitness regimens that prepare them for the unique requirements of their work. Equipment and tools used in curse breaking include both traditional magical instruments adapted for specialized applications and innovative devices created specifically for dealing with particular types of protective magic. The most experienced practitioners often design and craft their own tools, understanding that successful curse breaking may require solutions that no commercial supplier could anticipate or provide. Training programs for aspiring curse breakers combine academic study with practical experience that gradually exposes students to increasingly dangerous situations under carefully controlled conditions. The progression from simple practice exercises to actual fieldwork requires demonstrated competence at each level, as the consequences of inadequate preparation can be fatal for both individuals and their team members. The alchemical arts represent the oldest form of magical research, encompassing both theoretical study of fundamental magical principles and practical applications that seek to transform matter and energy through understanding of the deepest laws governing magical reality. Modern alchemy builds upon foundations established by ancient practitioners, while incorporating contemporary magical theory and experimental methods that have expanded the field's scope and precision. Nicholas Flamel's achievement in creating the Philosopher's Stone represents the pinnacle of alchemical accomplishment, demonstrating that sufficiently advanced understanding of transmutation principles can overcome even the fundamental limitations of mortality and material scarcity. His centuries of life and research provided insights into magical theory that influenced developments throughout the magical world, though his secretive nature meant that much of his knowledge died with him when he finally chose to embrace death. The four classical elements of earth, air, fire, and water serve as the theoretical foundation for all alchemical work, representing not just physical substances but fundamental aspects of magical reality that manifest in countless forms throughout the natural and supernatural worlds. Understanding how these elements interact and transform under various conditions provides the basis for all successful transmutation work. Contemporary alchemical research focuses on applications that serve practical needs while advancing theoretical understanding, including development of new materials with enhanced magical properties, improvement of existing magical processes through better understanding of underlying principles, and exploration of possibilities that previous generations of alchemists could only imagine through improved experimental techniques and theoretical frameworks. The laboratory requirements for serious alchemical work include specialized equipment designed to contain and control magical energies during experimental procedures, safety systems that protect researchers from the dangers inherent in manipulating fundamental magical forces, and environmental controls that maintain the precise conditions required for successful experimentation. These facilities represent significant investments that reflect the complex requirements of advanced alchemical research. Collaborative research in modern alchemy involves partnerships between alchemists, potioneers, magical theorists, and practitioners from other specialized fields who contribute different perspectives and expertise to complex projects that no single researcher could complete independently. These collaborations have produced some of the most significant advances in contemporary magical understanding. The commercial applications of alchemical research provide funding for continued investigation while producing products and services that benefit magical society, including improved materials for magical construction projects, enhanced formulations for medical and cosmetic applications, and innovative solutions to practical problems that arise in various magical industries. Safety protocols in alchemical research reflect the serious dangers associated with manipulating fundamental magical forces, including procedures for handling unstable materials, containment systems for experiments that might produce unexpected results, and emergency response plans for situations where experimental procedures exceed safe parameters. The history of alchemical research includes numerous cautionary examples of what happens when safety considerations are neglected. The philosophical aspects of alchemy extend beyond technical procedures to encompass questions about the nature of transformation, the relationship between physical and spiritual reality, and the ethical implications of acquiring power over fundamental forces of creation and destruction. These considerations influence how responsible alchemists approach their work and make decisions about which knowledge should be pursued or shared. Educational programs in alchemy are rare and highly selective, requiring students who demonstrate not just exceptional magical ability, but the intellectual maturity and ethical grounding needed to handle knowledge that could be misused with catastrophic consequences. The master-apprentice relationship remains central to alchemical education, as the subtleties of advanced work cannot be conveyed through books or formal instruction alone. The career satisfaction available to skilled artisans stems from the deep fulfillment that comes from creating objects of lasting beauty and functionality through the application of knowledge and technique refined over generations. Each completed wand, perfected potion, or successful curse-breaking mission represents not just professional accomplishment, but contribution to the continuing tradition of magical craftsmanship that connects contemporary practitioners with the master artisans of ages past. The challenges faced by modern magical craftspeople include adapting traditional methods to contemporary needs and expectations while maintaining the standards of excellence that have defined their professions throughout history. The balance between innovation and tradition requires wisdom that comes from thorough grounding in established techniques combined with creative vision that identifies opportunities for meaningful improvement. The economic realities of artisan careers require practitioners who can balance artistic integrity with commercial viability, creating products that satisfy both their own standards of excellence and the practical needs of customers who depend on their expertise. This balance becomes particularly challenging when market pressures encourage shortcuts or compromises that conflict with traditional standards of craftsmanship. The transmission of knowledge from master to apprentice remains central to maintaining the quality and continuity of magical crafts, as the subtleties of advanced technique can only be learned through direct observation and guided practice under expert supervision. These mentoring relationships often extend beyond professional training to encompass personal development and the cultivation of ethical standards that govern responsible practice. In the quiet hours when workshops grow still and the tools of creation rest from their labors, these master craftspeople continue their eternal work of transforming raw potential into realized magic. Their dedication, ensuring that future generations will inherit not just the products of their skill, but the knowledge and traditions that make such skill possible. In the interconnected web of magical communication and transportation that binds our scattered communities into a unified society, there exists a network of dedicated professionals whose tireless efforts ensure that knowledge flows freely, people travel safely, and the bonds of civilization remain strong despite the vast distances that separate magical settlements throughout the world. Tonight, as messages wing their way through darkness on faithful feathers and travelers journey through flames toward distant destinations, let us explore the essential careers of those who keep our magical world connected across space and time through their mastery of the ancient arts of communication and movement. The Daily Prophet stands as the cornerstone of magical journalism, its printing presses working through the night to deliver news that shapes public opinion and influences the course of magical society through the power of informed discourse. The journalists who gather and report this news face challenges that their Muggle counterparts could never imagine, as magical events often defy conventional understanding, while the subjects of their stories may possess abilities that can make investigation dangerous or impossible through ordinary means. The art of magical journalism requires not just writing skill and investigative ability, but courage to pursue stories that may attract retaliation from powerful wizards who prefer their activities to remain hidden from public scrutiny. The most effective magical journalists develop sources throughout magical society, building networks of contacts who can provide insight into events that official sources might attempt to conceal or misrepresent for political advantage. Rita Skeeter exemplified both the potential and the problems inherent in aggressive magical journalism, her quick quotes quill capturing not just spoken words but embellishing them with dramatic flourishes that often transformed mundane interviews into sensational exposés. Her animagus ability to transform into a beetle allowed her access to private conversations and confidential meetings, providing exclusive information that competitors couldn't obtain through conventional reporting methods. However, her willingness to prioritize sensational headlines over factual accuracy demonstrated the ethical challenges that confront journalists who possess magical abilities that can be used to gather information through methods that raise serious questions about privacy, consent, and the public's right to know versus individuals' rights to personal confidentiality. The regulation of magical journalism must balance press freedom with protection against abuse of magical abilities for intrusive or harmful purposes. The photography department of magical publications faces unique technical and artistic challenges, as magical subjects may not cooperate with photographic documentation, while magical events often occur under conditions that make conventional photography impossible or inadequate. The development of magical photography techniques that can capture moving images and preserve them in permanent form revolutionized magical journalism by providing visual evidence that readers could evaluate for themselves. The ethical considerations surrounding magical photography include questions about consent when photographing individuals who may not be aware that their images are being captured, the accuracy of magical photographs that may reveal details invisible to ordinary observation, and the potential for manipulating magical images in ways that could mislead readers about the true nature of events being documented. International magical journalism requires correspondents who can navigate different magical cultures and legal systems while maintaining the objectivity and accuracy that readers depend upon for understanding events that may affect the entire magical world. These journalists often work under dangerous conditions, in areas where magical conflicts or political instability make reporting hazardous, while access to reliable information remains limited. The business model of magical publishing reflects the relatively small size of the magical reading public compared to Muggle markets, requiring efficient distribution systems and careful management of production costs to maintain financial viability while serving the information needs of widely scattered magical communities. The Daily Prophet's success depends partly on its ability to reach readers throughout magical Britain through distribution networks that account for the unique challenges of magical geography. Xenophilius Lovegood's publication of The Quibbler demonstrated how alternative magical journalism could serve audiences whose interests and perspectives weren't adequately addressed by mainstream publications, though his willingness to publish unverified claims and conspiracy theories raised questions about the responsibility of publishers to distinguish between legitimate, alternative viewpoints and potentially harmful misinformation. The editorial process in magical publishing must account for the potential consequences of printing information that could affect magical security, public safety, or international relations, requiring editors who understand both journalistic principles and the broader implications of their publication decisions. The most responsible magical publications maintain editorial standards that balance transparency with discretion. Investigative journalism in the magical world often requires techniques that go far beyond traditional reporting methods, as complex magical crimes or political corruption may involve evidence that can only be understood through specialized magical knowledge or detected through magical means. Journalists who specialize in investigative work often develop expertise in magical law, forensics, or other technical areas that enhance their ability to understand and explain complex stories. The seasonal nature of some magical news, particularly stories related to magical creatures, astronomical events, or agricultural magic, requires journalists who can plan coverage around natural cycles while maintaining reader interest in topics that may not have immediate relevance to daily life, but contribute to broader understanding of magical society and its plain relationship with the natural world. Training programs for aspiring magical journalists combine traditional journalism education with specialized instruction in magical law, ethics of magical investigation, and technical aspects of magical communication and publication. The most successful programs provide hands-on experience through internships and supervised fieldwork that expose students to the practical realities of magical journalism under expert guidance. The relationship between magical journalism and government regulation involves ongoing tension between press freedom and security concerns, as magical governments may legitimately need to restrict publication of information that could compromise public safety, while journalists work to ensure that such restrictions don't become excuses for censorship of politically inconvenient reporting. Owl Post represents one of the most reliable and traditional forms of magical communication, its effectiveness depending on the intelligence and dedication of owls, whose natural homing abilities are enhanced through magical training that allows them to locate recipients anywhere in the world, regardless of concealment or magical protection. The partnership between wizards and owls extends back thousands of years, representing one of the most successful examples of cooperation between magical humans and intelligent magical creatures. The training of postal owls begins when they are young, with experienced handlers teaching them to recognize different types of mail, understand delivery priorities, and navigate magical obstacles that might interfere with successful message delivery. The most skilled postal owls can distinguish between urgent and routine correspondence, deliver messages to moving targets, and even wait for replies when appropriate. Hedwig's exceptional abilities demonstrated the potential that exists in the partnership between wizard and owl when both parties are fully committed to effective communication. Her intelligence and loyalty, allowing her to understand complex delivery instructions, while her magical strength enabled her to carry messages across vast distances under dangerous conditions. The care and maintenance of postal owls requires understanding of their dietary needs, exercise requirements, and social behaviors, as owls that are well treated and properly cared for provide more reliable service while developing emotional bonds with their handlers that enhance their motivation to complete challenging deliveries. Professional owl handlers develop expertise in avian medicine and behavior that allows them to maintain the health and effectiveness of their charges. The economics of owl post service include costs for feeding and housing owls, training and healthcare expenses, and the infrastructure needed to maintain post offices and sorting facilities throughout the magical world. The efficiency of owl post compared to other magical communication methods helps justify these costs while providing employment for handlers, trainers, and support staff. International owl post faces challenges related to different national regulations, customs inspections that may not understand magical mail, and the need to coordinate between different postal systems that may use varying procedures and standards. The International Owl Post Service maintains agreements that facilitate cross-border mail delivery while respecting national sovereignty and security requirements. Emergency owl post services provide rapid communication during crises when other magical communication methods may be compromised or unavailable, though such services require specially trained owls capable of flying under dangerous conditions while carrying urgent messages that may determine the outcome of critical situations. The magical properties of some correspondence require special handling procedures to prevent accidental activation of spells contained in letters, packages that may contain dangerous or valuable magical items, and communications that are protected by secrecy charms or other magical safeguards. Postal workers receive training in recognizing and properly handling such mail to ensure both delivery success and handler safety. Alternative communication methods supplement owl post for situations where written correspondence is inadequate or inappropriate, including Patronus messages that can deliver brief verbal communications instantaneously across vast distances, magical fire communication through established flu networks, and emergency signaling methods that can summon help or warn of danger without requiring detailed explanations. The flu network represents a marvel of magical engineering that connects fireplaces throughout the wizarding world through a transportation and communication system that operates according to principles that even magical theorists don't completely understand. The network's reliability and convenience make it essential infrastructure for magical society, though its complexity requires constant maintenance and oversight by specialists who understand its technical requirements. Network regulation ensures that connections remain secure and reliable while preventing unauthorized access that could compromise either security or network integrity. The Flu Network Authority maintains standards for fireplace construction and connection procedures, while investigating incidents that might indicate technical problems or security breaches that require immediate attention. The geography of flu connections reflects political and economic relationships between different magical communities, as network access requires international agreements and maintenance cooperation that can be affected by diplomatic tensions or trade disputes. The most important connections receive priority, maintenance, and security protection to ensure continued operation, even during periods of political instability. Emergency protocols allow network controllers to rapidly isolate sections that may be compromised or redirect traffic around failed connections, maintaining overall network functionality even when individual nodes experience problems. These protocols require trained operators who can make quick decisions about network management under pressure, while coordinating with field technicians who handle physical repairs. The Hogwarts Express exemplifies the intersection of magical and mundane transportation technology, its steam locomotive enhanced with magical systems that ensure reliability and safety, while maintaining the traditional appearance and operation that connects contemporary magical transportation with historical precedents that shaped magical society's development. The engineering requirements for magical railway operation include track maintenance that accounts for magical stresses and environmental factors that don't affect ordinary railways, locomotive systems that integrate mechanical and magical power sources, and safety systems that protect passengers from both ordinary railway hazards and magical dangers that might arise during journey. The seasonal operation of the Hogwarts Express requires extensive preparation and maintenance during off-season periods, with mechanical systems receiving complete overhauls, while magical components are tested and recalibrated to ensure optimal performance during the demanding schedule of student transportation that allows no margin for failure or delay. Staff training for magical railway operation combines traditional railway skills with specialized knowledge of magical systems and emergency procedures, as crew members must be capable of handling both mechanical problems and magical incidents that could endanger passengers or disrupt service. The driver, and conductor receive additional training in student management and emergency evacuation procedures. The night bus provides emergency transportation services for stranded witches and wizards who need immediate assistance reaching their destinations. Its ability to appear anywhere at a moment's notice, making it invaluable for travelers who find themselves in difficult or dangerous situations. The bus's magical enhancement allows it to navigate obstacles and travel at speeds that would be impossible for ordinary vehicles while maintaining passenger safety through magical stabilization systems. The crew of the night bus develops specialized skills for providing emergency transportation under various conditions, from routine assistance to travelers who missed other transportation to emergency evacuation of individuals who may be injured or under threat. The conductor's role includes rapid assessment of passenger needs and determination of appropriate destinations and routes. Route planning for emergency transportation requires flexibility and quick decision-making, as the night bus must be able to reach passengers anywhere while navigating magical obstacles, traffic conditions, and potential dangers that might affect travel safety. The most experienced drivers develop intuitive understanding of optimal routes that balance speed with passenger comfort and safety. Apparition instruction represents one of the most challenging teaching specializations in magical education, as the techniques required for safe apparition are complex and potentially dangerous if performed incorrectly. Instructors must possess not just perfect mastery of apparition, but the ability to guide students through the learning process while minimizing the risk of splinching and other serious injuries. The licensing requirements for apparition instructors include extensive testing of both technical ability and teaching skills, as the consequences of inadequate instruction can result in permanent disability or death for students who attempt apparition without proper preparation. The most qualified instructors often have backgrounds in magical medicine or healing that helps them recognize and respond to training injuries. Student assessment in apparition training requires careful evaluation of both theoretical knowledge and practical ability, as students who lack complete understanding of the principles involved may successfully demonstrate basic techniques while remaining at high risk for dangerous failures under stress or unusual conditions. The licensing examination process includes both controlled demonstrations and written assessments of theoretical understanding. Safety protocols for apparition training include immediate access to qualified medical assistance, emergency procedures for handling splinching injuries, and environmental controls that minimize risks while allowing students to practice under realistic conditions. Training facilities maintain specialized healing equipment and supplies specifically designed for treating apparition-related injuries. Advanced apparition techniques include long-distance transportation, side-along apparition, with passengers who may be injured or unconscious, and precision apparition into confined spaces or areas with magical obstacles. These advanced skills require additional training and certification beyond basic apparition licensing, as their complexity and danger make them suitable only for highly skilled practitioners. International apparition involves additional complexities related to different national regulations, customs procedures that may apply to magical travelers, and the magical signatures and border controls that different countries use to monitor and regulate magical immigration and travel. Professional apparition services that operate internationally must maintain licenses and compliance with multiple regulatory systems. The psychological aspects of apparition instruction include helping students overcome fear and anxiety that can interfere with successful technique while building the confidence and concentration required for safe practice. Many students struggle with the counterintuitive mental processes required for apparition, requiring patient instruction and individualized approaches that account for different learning styles and psychological barriers. Emergency apparition services provide rapid transportation for medical emergencies, security situations, and other crises where conventional transportation would be too slow or otherwise inadequate. These services require specially trained operators who can perform rapid assessment of situations while making split-second decisions about transportation priorities and destinations. The regulation of magical transportation includes safety standards, licensing requirements, and oversight procedures that protect both operators and passengers, while ensuring that transportation systems remain efficient and accessible to those who need them. Regulatory authorities must balance safety requirements with practical needs for reliable and convenient transportation services. Professional development for transportation specialists requires ongoing training to maintain current knowledge of regulations, safety procedures, and technical developments that affect their areas of expertise. The most successful practitioners participate in professional organizations that provide continuing education while fostering communication and cooperation between different branches of magical transportation. The integration of different transportation methods allows travelers to combine various options according to their specific needs and circumstances, with coordination between services, ensuring smooth transitions and comprehensive coverage that serves all segments of the magical population, regardless of their transportation, preferences, or capabilities. The career satisfaction available to communication and transportation professionals stems from the knowledge that their work enables the connections and relationships that bind magical society together, facilitating everything from personal correspondence between distant friends to emergency services that can save lives in crisis situations. Each successfully delivered message and safely completed journey represents contribution to the fabric of civilization that makes magical community possible. The challenges faced by modern magical communication and transportation include adapting traditional methods to serve contemporary needs while maintaining the reliability and security that magical society depends upon for its continued functioning. Innovation must be balanced with respect for proven methods, while addressing new requirements that arise from changes in magical society and its relationship with the broader world. In the steady rhythm of wings beating through darkness and the familiar whoosh of flue powder igniting green flames, these dedicated professionals continue their essential work of keeping our magical world connected and accessible, their efforts ensuring that distance becomes merely inconvenience rather than insurmountable barrier to the communication and travel that make civilization possible. In the roaring stadiums and glittering theaters where magic transforms into spectacle for the delight of cheering crowds, there exists a world of professional entertainment that brings joy, wonder, and shared experience to magical communities throughout the world. These are the performers and athletes whose dedication to their craft creates the moments of pure happiness that sustain spirits through darker times, reminding us all that magic at its finest serves not just practical needs, but the fundamental human desire for beauty, excitement, and communal celebration. Tonight, as applause echoes in memory and the thrill of competition stirs the imagination, let us explore the careers of those who dedicate their lives to bringing entertainment and athletic excellence to our magical world. Quidditch represents the pinnacle of magical sport, combining aerial skill, strategic thinking, and raw courage in a contest that captures the imagination of wizarding communities worldwide. The professional leagues that govern this ancient game have evolved from informal school competitions into sophisticated organizations that rival any Muggle sporting enterprise in their complexity, commercial scope, and cultural influence throughout magical society. The path to professional Quidditch begins in childhood for most successful players, as the skills required for elite competition must be developed through years of practice that builds not just technical ability, but the intuitive understanding of flight dynamics and game strategy that separates competent players from true champions. School teams serve as the primary development ground for future professionals, with scouts from league clubs regularly attending inter-school matches to identify promising talent. The Chudley Cannons, despite their decades of disappointing performance, exemplify the business model that supports professional Quidditch through ticket sales, merchandise licensing, and broadcast rights that generate revenue sufficient to maintain full-time professional squads. Even unsuccessful teams contribute to the league's overall health by providing competition and maintaining fan interest in communities that might otherwise lose connection to the sport. Training regimens for professional Quidditch players must account for the unique physical demands of aerial competition, including exercises that develop the core strength and balance required for maintaining control during high-speed maneuvers, while handling a broomstick and quaffle simultaneously. Specialized conditioning programs address the cardiovascular fitness needed for matches that may last several hours, while maintaining the reflexes and hand-eye coordination that determine success in split-second situations. The keeper position requires distinctive skills that combine the reflexes of a traditional goalkeeper with the three-dimensional awareness needed to defend goal hoops that can be attacked from any angle or altitude. Professional keepers develop techniques for reading opposing players' intentions through body language and positioning, while maintaining the mobility needed to intercept shots that may come from unexpected directions or unusual flight paths. Chaser play represents the most tactically complex aspect of Quidditch, as these players must coordinate their movements in patterns that create scoring opportunities, while adapting to defensive strategies that may change throughout the match. The most successful chaser units develop almost telepathic understanding of each other's movements and intentions, allowing them to execute plays that appear spontaneous, but actually reflect thousands of hours of practice and coordination. Beta strategy has evolved considerably from the early days of Quidditch, when these positions focused primarily on aggressive attacks against opposing players, with modern betas serving tactical roles that include protecting teammates, disrupting opposing formations, and controlling game tempo through strategic use of bludger positioning. The most skilled beaters can direct bludger movements with precision that turns these dangerous obstacles into tactical weapons. The seeker position carries unique psychological pressures, as these players often determine match outcomes through individual performance that can overshadow the collective efforts of their teammates. The mental preparation required for successful seeking includes techniques for maintaining concentration during extended periods of apparent inactivity, while remaining ready to react instantly when the golden snitch appears. Victor Krum's international career demonstrated how exceptional Quidditch talent can transcend national boundaries, with the most gifted players attracting offers from foreign leagues that provide opportunities for cultural exchange and skill development that benefits both individual players and the global development of the sport. International transfers require complex negotiations that account for different league regulations and playing styles. The equipment used in professional Quidditch represents significant technological advancement over the basic gear used in amateur play, with racing brooms that cost more than most wizards earn in a year, while providing performance advantages that can determine the outcome of closely contested matches. Professional teams invest heavily in equipment, research, and development that produces innovations that eventually filter down to amateur levels. Safety protocols in professional Quidditch have evolved in response to injuries that highlighted the inherent dangers of high-speed aerial competition, with league regulations now requiring protective equipment and medical support that reduces but cannot eliminate the risks that make Quidditch simultaneously thrilling and dangerous for both players and spectators. Referee training for Quidditch requires not just complete knowledge of complex rules, but the physical fitness and flying skills needed to monitor action that occurs simultaneously at multiple altitudes and locations throughout large playing areas. The most experienced referees develop positioning instincts that allow them to observe crucial plays while avoiding interference with game flow. Stadium design for professional Quidditch must account for the three-dimensional nature of the sport, while providing spectator viewing that allows fans to follow action that may shift rapidly between different areas and altitudes. The most successful venues create atmosphere that enhances the game experience while providing amenities that attract fans who might otherwise choose alternative entertainment options. Youth development programs, sponsored by professional teams, serve both community relations and talent identification functions, introducing children to organized Quidditch while identifying prospects who might benefit from advanced coaching and development opportunities. These programs often provide the only access to quality instruction and equipment for young people from families that cannot afford private coaching or expensive equipment. Coaching at the professional level requires expertise that extends far beyond playing ability to encompass game strategy, player psychology, and team management skills that can coordinate the diverse personalities and talents that comprise successful squads. The most successful coaches develop reputations that attract elite players while creating team cultures that maximize both individual and collective performance. The Quidditch World Cup represents the pinnacle of international competition, bringing together the finest players from around the globe in a tournament that captures worldwide attention while showcasing the highest levels of skill and strategy that the sport can offer. The economic impact of hosting the World Cup provides significant benefits to magical communities, while requiring infrastructure investment and security arrangements that test the organizational capabilities of magical governments. Broadcasting Quidditch presents unique technical challenges, as the three-dimensional nature of the action requires camera work and commentary approaches that differ significantly from traditional sports coverage. The most successful broadcasts combine expert analysis with visual techniques that help viewers follow complex plays while conveying the speed and excitement that make Quidditch compelling for live audiences. Marketing and promotion in professional Quidditch must appeal to audiences that range from casual fans who attend occasional matches for social reasons to dedicated followers who analyze game statistics and player performance with scholarly intensity. Successful teams develop marketing strategies that serve both segments while attracting new fans who might discover the sport through family or community connections. The Weird Sisters represent the pinnacle of magical musical entertainment, their performances at events like the Yule Ball, demonstrating how magical musicians can create experiences that transcend ordinary concert presentations through integration of musical talent, with magical effects that enhance and amplify the emotional impact of their performances. Musical education in the wizarding world encompasses both traditional, instrumental, and vocal training supplemented by instruction in magical enhancement techniques that allow performers to create effects that would be impossible through purely acoustic means. The most successful magical musicians develop skills that blend musical talent with magical ability in ways that create unique artistic expressions. The development of magical instruments represents a specialized branch of craftsmanship that combines traditional instrument-making techniques with magical enhancement that expands the range of sounds and effects that skilled performers can achieve. These instruments often become valuable collector's items while serving as essential tools for professional musicians whose careers depend on access to superior equipment. Venue management for magical entertainment requires understanding of both traditional theater operations and the unique requirements created by performances that may include magical effects, unusual staging requirements, and audiences whose behavior may be influenced by magical enhancement of the entertainment experience. The most successful venues develop reputations that attract both performers and audiences seeking the highest quality entertainment experiences. Touring logistics for magical entertainment groups involve challenges that exceed those faced by Muggle performers, as magical equipment and effects may require special handling and transportation, while international tours must account for varying regulations regarding magical entertainment in different countries. Successful touring requires careful coordination between performers, technical crews, and local promoters who understand both entertainment and magical logistics. The business model for magical entertainment includes revenue streams from ticket sales, merchandise, and magical broadcasting rights, while accounting for costs that may include specialized equipment, magical effects, licensing, and insurance coverage that addresses risks unique to magical performance. Successful entertainment businesses develop diverse revenue sources that can sustain operations through varying market conditions. Audience development in magical entertainment requires understanding of demographic trends and cultural preferences that influence entertainment choices, with successful promoters developing programming that serves existing audiences while attracting new participants who might discover interests they didn't know they possessed. Community outreach programs often serve both promotional and educational functions. The Celestina Warbeck phenomenon demonstrates how magical entertainers can achieve popularity that transcends traditional audience boundaries, with her appeal extending across age groups and social classes, through performances that combine musical talent with personality and magical effects that create memorable experiences for diverse audiences. Magical theatre presents unique opportunities for storytelling that combines traditional dramatic techniques with magical effects that can transform stage environments, create impossible illusions, and engage audiences in ways that purely dramatic presentations cannot achieve. The most successful magical theatre productions integrate these possibilities seamlessly with strong storytelling and character development. The development of new entertainment formats continues to evolve as magical society changes and new technologies create possibilities that previous generations couldn't imagine, with innovative entertainers experimenting with hybrid forms that combine traditional approaches with contemporary magical techniques and audience expectations. Training programs for magical entertainers combine traditional performance education with specialized instruction in magical enhancement techniques, business skills needed for career development, and safety protocols that address the unique risks associated with magical performance. The most comprehensive programs provide students with both artistic and practical preparation for professional careers. Professional associations for magical entertainers provide networking opportunities, continuing education, and advocacy for industry interests, while establishing standards that protect both performers and audiences from substandard or dangerous entertainment practices. These organizations often play crucial roles in developing industry standards and promoting professional excellence. Gaming and recreational activities in the wizarding world extend far beyond Quidditch to include intellectual competitions like Wizard's Chess, where the strategic complexity rivals that of traditional chess, while animated pieces add dramatic elements that make matches exciting for both players and spectators. Professional chess circuits attract players whose analytical abilities and strategic thinking create competitions that serve as both entertainment and intellectual exercise. The development of new magical games requires creativity that combines traditional game design principles with unique possibilities created by magical enhancement, resulting in recreational activities that couldn't exist in non-magical contexts while serving the fundamental human needs for challenge, competition, and social interaction that games have always provided. Educational applications of magical games demonstrate how entertainment and learning can be integrated in ways that make instruction more engaging and effective, with successful educational games teaching everything from basic magical theory to advanced practical applications through interactive experiences that motivate continued learning and skill development. The manufacturing and distribution of magical games and toys represents a significant commercial sector that serves markets ranging from children's entertainment to adult recreational activities, with successful companies developing product lines that appeal to diverse demographics while maintaining quality standards that ensure customer satisfaction and safety. International variations in magical games reflect cultural differences and local preferences, while contributing to the diversity of recreational options available to magical communities worldwide, with the most popular games often spreading between cultures through travel and cultural exchange that enriches the entertainment options available to all magical communities. Tournament organization for competitive gaming requires coordination that accounts for rules, standardization, player qualification procedures, and event logistics that ensure fair competition while creating entertaining experiences for participants and spectators. The most successful tournaments develop reputations that attract elite competitors while serving broader community interests. The psychology of competition in magical games includes factors that don't exist in Muggle contexts, as magical abilities may influence game outcomes, while the stakes of magical competition can extend beyond simple victory or defeat to encompass reputation, career opportunities, and social standing within magical communities. Spectator sports beyond Quidditch serve diverse interests and preferences within magical communities, with some emphasizing individual skill and others focusing on team coordination, while all contribute to the social fabric that binds magical communities together through shared experiences and common interests that transcend other divisions. The career paths available in magical entertainment attract individuals whose talents and interests align with the unique opportunities that exist in a world where magic can enhance and amplify human creativity, providing platforms for artistic expression and athletic achievement that serve both personal fulfillment and community enrichment through the joy and excitement they bring to audiences. The economic impact of entertainment industries in magical communities includes direct employment for performers and support staff, while generating secondary economic activity through tourism, merchandise sales, and related services that benefit entire communities, making entertainment investment valuable for both cultural and economic development reasons. In the afterglow of standing ovations and the satisfied exhaustion that follows great performances, these dedicated entertainers and athletes continue their essential work of bringing joy and wonder to a world that needs both the inspiration of excellence and the simple pleasure of shared entertainment that reminds us all that magic at its finest serves the human spirit's need for beauty, excitement, and the bonds of community that make civilization meaningful. In the labyrinthine corridors of the Ministry of Magic, where power and responsibility intertwine like ancient spells woven into the very fabric of governance, there exists a vast network of dedicated civil servants whose tireless efforts maintain the delicate balance between magical freedom and necessary regulation that allows wizarding society to flourish in harmony with itself and in careful secrecy from the non-magical world. Tonight, as the wheels of government turn with quiet efficiency through the darkest hours, let us explore the noble calling of public service and the countless specialized roles that transform individual dedication into collective action for the betterment of all magical citizens. The office of Minister of Magic represents the pinnacle of public service, a position that demands not just political acumen and administrative skill, but the wisdom to make decisions that affect every aspect of magical life, while balancing competing interests that often seem irreconcilable. The path to ministerial office typically involves decades of service in various departmental roles, building the expertise and relationships necessary to navigate the complex political landscape that characterizes magical governance. Cornelius Fudge's tenure demonstrated both the potential and the perils inherent in magical political leadership, his initial popularity stemming from policies that emphasized stability and normalcy after the turbulent years that followed Voldemort's first defeat. His administration's focus on maintaining public confidence and economic prosperity served legitimate needs within magical society, though his reluctance to acknowledge uncomfortable truths about Voldemort's return ultimately undermined the very stability he sought to preserve. The daily responsibilities of the minister include briefings from department heads who report on activities ranging from routine administrative matters to crisis situations that may require immediate executive response. The complexity of magical governance means that ministerial decisions often have consequences that extend far beyond their immediate scope, requiring leaders who can understand the interconnections between different aspects of magical society while anticipating unintended results of well-intentioned policies. International relations occupy a significant portion of ministerial attention, as magical governments worldwide must coordinate responses to threats that transcend national boundaries, while respecting sovereignty and cultural differences that influence how different magical communities approach common challenges. The International Confederation of Wizards provides forums for such cooperation, but effective participation requires ministerial leadership that understands both domestic priorities and international implications. Crisis management represents perhaps the most demanding aspect of ministerial service, as magical emergencies may require rapid decision-making under conditions of incomplete information and enormous pressure from various constituencies who may have conflicting ideas about appropriate responses. The most effective ministers develop crisis management skills through experience in departmental leadership roles that prepare them for the ultimate responsibilities of executive office. Kingsley Shacklebolt's appointment as minister following the Battle of Hogwarts exemplified the kind of leadership transition that occurs during periods of significant change, when established political processes may be inadequate for addressing the challenges that emerge from major conflicts or social upheaval. His background as an Auror provided practical experience with crisis situations, while his participation in the Order of the Phoenix demonstrated commitment to principles that transcended personal political advancement. The Department of Magical Law Enforcement serves as the foundation of magical government, encompassing not just the Auror Office and other law enforcement agencies, but the legal and regulatory frameworks that define acceptable behavior within magical society. The department's responsibilities extend from investigating individual crimes to developing policies that address systemic issues affecting magical law and order. Barty Crouch Sr.'s leadership of the department during Voldemort's first rise demonstrated both the effectiveness and the dangers of aggressive law enforcement approaches during times of crisis. His authorization of unforgivable curses for Auror use reflecting the extreme measures that may become necessary when facing enemies who acknowledge no moral or legal constraints. However, his harsh methods also raised questions about the balance between effective enforcement and protection of civil liberties that remains relevant for contemporary magical governance. The misuse of Muggle Artifacts Office addresses violations that may seem minor, but carry significant implications for maintaining the statute of secrecy that protects magical society from unwanted attention or interference from non-magical authorities. Arthur Weasley's work in this office demonstrated how dedication to apparently mundane responsibilities actually serves essential functions in preserving the security and independence of the magical world. The regulation of magical objects that interact with Muggle technology requires expertise that bridges magical and non-magical understanding, as violations often involve creative applications of magic to ordinary objects in ways that their original designers never anticipated. The most effective investigators develop knowledge of both magical theory and Muggle technology that allows them to understand how prohibited modifications might affect the broader relationship between magical and non-magical societies. The improper use of Magic Office monitors magical activity throughout the wizarding world, using detection systems that can identify magic use by location and magical signature, while maintaining the surveillance necessary to enforce laws governing underage magic, illegal spell use, and violations of magical secrecy. The technical challenges involved in such monitoring require staff members who understand both magical theory and the legal frameworks that govern surveillance activities. The balance between necessary monitoring and individual privacy rights creates ongoing tension that requires careful policy development and oversight, as the magical community must accept some limitations on privacy in exchange for the security and order that effective law enforcement provides. The most successful policies achieve this balance through transparent procedures and accountability measures that protect against abuse while maintaining enforcement effectiveness. The Department for Regulation and Control of Magical Creatures addresses some of the most complex policy challenges in magical government, as the relationship between wizards and other intelligent magical beings involves questions of rights, responsibilities, and mutual coexistence that don't have simple answers. The department's work encompasses everything from routine licensing and regulation to fundamental questions about the nature of personhood and citizenship in magical society. House elf welfare represents one of the most contentious issues within magical creature regulation, as traditional practices that many wizards consider normal and beneficial are increasingly challenged by advocates who argue that current arrangements constitute slavery and exploitation. The development of policies that protect house elf welfare while respecting cultural traditions and legitimate economic needs requires careful balance that satisfies neither extreme position completely. Hermione Granger's advocacy through the Society for the Promotion of Elfish Welfare highlighted the importance of grassroots activism in bringing attention to issues that established institutions might prefer to ignore, though her initial approaches also demonstrated how well-intentioned advocacy can be undermined by insufficient understanding of the perspectives and preferences of those it purports to help. The regulation of magical creature commerce includes oversight of breeding operations, trade in creature products, and import-export controls that protect both magical creatures and the communities where they live, while supporting legitimate economic activities that provide livelihoods for magical citizens whose work depends on sustainable, creatory industries. Goblin relations occupy a unique position within magical creature regulation, as goblins possess their own sophisticated society and economic systems, while maintaining complex relationships with wizard-dominated institutions like the Ministry and commercial enterprises throughout the magical world. The most effective policies recognize goblin autonomy while addressing conflicts that may arise from different cultural approaches to property, contracts, and business relationships. Werewolf support services address the medical, social, and economic challenges faced by individuals whose lycanthropy affects every aspect of their lives, while potentially creating public safety concerns that must be balanced against the rights and needs of werewolf citizens. The development of effective support systems requires understanding of both medical and social factors that influence werewolf integration into broader magical society. The Department of International Magical Cooperation facilitates relationships between magical governments worldwide, while managing the complex challenges that arise when different magical societies must coordinate responses to shared problems or resolve conflicts that cross national boundaries. The department's work ranges from routine diplomatic correspondence to negotiation of international agreements that address everything from trade disputes to security threats. Cultural exchange programs promote understanding between different magical societies, while providing opportunities for wizards to experience different approaches to magic, government, and social organization that may offer insights applicable to their own communities. These programs also serve diplomatic functions by building personal relationships that facilitate official cooperation during times of crisis or disagreement. International magical law represents a developing field that attempts to create frameworks for resolving disputes and coordinating responses to challenges that affect multiple magical societies. Though the sovereignty concerns that influence all international relations create limitations on the authority and effectiveness of such legal systems. Trade regulation and customs enforcement protect domestic magical industries while facilitating beneficial exchange of goods and services that enhance the prosperity and quality of life available to magical citizens. The technical challenges involved in inspecting magical goods for safety, legality, and proper documentation require staff expertise that spans multiple areas of magical knowledge. Emergency cooperation agreements provide mechanisms for rapid response to magical disasters, security threats, or other crises that may require resources beyond what individual magical governments can provide independently. The effectiveness of such agreements depends on advanced planning and relationship building that allows rapid mobilization when emergencies actually occur. The Department of Magical Accidents and Catastrophes responds to incidents that may threaten magical secrecy, public safety, or both, providing specialized expertise and resources for situations that exceed the capabilities of local authorities or routine emergency services. The department's work requires staff who can assess complex situations quickly while coordinating responses that address immediate dangers and long-term implications. Memory modification operations constitute a significant portion of the department's activities, as maintaining the statute of secrecy often requires altering the memories of muggles who have witnessed magical events. The scale and complexity of such operations may range from simple individual memory charms to mass modification efforts that require coordination between multiple specialists working under extreme time pressure. Accidental magic incidents involving children or untrained adults require responses that address both immediate safety concerns and the underlying magical instability that created the incident, with treatment approaches that may involve medical intervention, magical training, or environmental modifications that reduce the likelihood of future problems. Magical creature incidents may involve escaped dangerous creatures, conflicts between creatures and human communities, or situations where normal creature behavior has been affected by magical interference or environmental changes that require specialized intervention by experts who understand both creature psychology and the magical factors that may have contributed to the problem. The Obliviator Headquarters coordinates memory modification activities throughout magical society while maintaining the training, equipment, and procedural standards that ensure such operations achieve their objectives without causing unintended harm to subjects or exposing magical society to additional security risks through ineffective or incomplete memory work. The Department of Magical Transportation oversees the complex systems that enable magical travel while ensuring safety standards and regulatory compliance that protect both travelers and the communities where magical transportation systems operate. The department's responsibilities encompass everything from individual apparition licensing to the maintenance of major transportation networks that serve entire magical populations. Apparition testing and licensing ensures that individuals who engage in magical transportation possess the knowledge and skills necessary to travel safely while avoiding splinching injuries or other complications that could endanger themselves or others. The testing process includes both theoretical examinations and practical demonstrations that verify competence under various conditions. The Flu Network Authority maintains the magical infrastructure that connects fireplaces throughout the wizarding world, while monitoring network security and managing access permissions that determine which locations can be reached through network connections. The technical complexity of network operations requires staff with specialized expertise in magical engineering and security systems. Portkey Office manages the creation and distribution of authorized portkeys, while preventing unauthorized portkey creation that could compromise transportation, security, or facilitate illegal activities such as smuggling or unauthorized immigration. The regulation of portkey access involves complex procedures that balance convenience with security requirements. The Department of Mysteries houses some of the most sensitive and potentially dangerous magical research in existence, with Unspeakables conducting investigations into fundamental questions about the nature of magic, reality, and existence that may have profound implications for magical society and the broader universe. The secretive nature of this work reflects both the sensitive nature of the research and the potential consequences of premature or inappropriate release of research findings. The Hall of Prophecy contains thousands of prophecies that may influence future events, requiring specialized handling and security procedures that protect both the prophecies themselves and the individuals who might be affected by their contents. The interpretation and application of prophetic information raises complex questions about fate, free will, and the appropriate role of government in responding to predictions about future events. Death research explores questions about mortality, the afterlife, and the magical forces that govern the transition between life and death. Investigations that touch on fundamental philosophical and religious questions, while potentially revealing practical applications that could revolutionize magical medicine or security. Time research investigates the properties and applications of temporal magic, work that carries enormous potential benefits and equally enormous risks. If temporal manipulation is used inappropriately or without sufficient understanding of its broader consequences, the time room's security measures reflect the catastrophic possibilities that could result from unauthorized access to time manipulation devices. Brain research examines the magical properties of consciousness, memory, and mental function. Investigations that contribute to understanding of magical ability, while potentially revealing techniques for enhancing or manipulating cognitive function in ways that raise serious ethical questions about the appropriate limits of mental intervention. Space research explores the magical properties of physical space and the forces that govern magical transportation, investigations that may lead to improved transportation methods, while potentially revealing applications that could revolutionize magical defense, exploration, or communication capabilities. The career paths available in magical government service attract individuals whose dedication to public welfare motivates them to accept the challenges and constraints that characterize public sector employment while finding satisfaction in work that contributes directly to the functioning and improvement of magical society. The civil service system that governs most ministry employment provides job security and advancement opportunities based on merit, while protecting employees from political interference that might compromise their ability to serve the public interest objectively and professionally. The most successful civil servants develop expertise that makes them valuable resources for successive political administrations regardless of policy differences. Training programs for government service combine general education in magical law, policy analysis, and public administration with specialized instruction in the technical knowledge required for specific departmental responsibilities. The most comprehensive programs include practical experience through internships and mentorship opportunities that provide hands-on learning under experienced supervision. Professional development opportunities within magical government include advanced training, conference participation, and cross-departmental assignments that broaden understanding while building the expertise and relationships necessary for career advancement. The most successful government careers often involve experience in multiple departments that provides comprehensive understanding of how different aspects of magical governance interact and influence each other. The ethical challenges inherent in government service require public servants who can balance competing interests while maintaining integrity and commitment to public welfare that transcends personal or political considerations. The most effective government employees develop skills for navigating ethical dilemmas while maintaining the trust and confidence that effective governance requires. In the quiet dedication of countless civil servants working through the night to maintain the systems and services that magical society depends upon, these public servants continue their essential work of transforming individual commitment into collective action that serves the common good, while preserving the freedom and security that make magical civilization possible. In the bustling marketplaces and welcoming establishments where commerce and hospitality transform mere transactions into the relationships that bind magical communities together, there exists a vibrant world of entrepreneurship and service that provides not just goods and accommodations, but the social fabric that makes magical society a place where people choose to live rather than merely survive. Tonight, as the warm glow of shop windows beckons weary travelers, and the aroma of magical delicacies fills the air with promises of comfort and satisfaction, let us explore the noble professions of those who dedicate their lives to serving others through the ancient arts of trade and hospitality. Diagon Alley represents the commercial heart of magical Britain. Its cobblestone streets, lined with establishments that have served wizarding customers for centuries, while adapting to changing needs and expectations that reflect the evolving nature of magical society. The success of these businesses depends not just on the quality of goods and services they provide, but on their ability to create experiences that make shopping both practical and pleasurable for customers whose magical needs may be as diverse as their individual personalities and circumstances. The ownership and management of magical retail establishments requires expertise that combines traditional business skills with specialized knowledge of magical products, customer service approaches that account for the unique aspects of magical commerce, and regulatory compliance that ensures operations meet safety standards while maintaining the security necessary to protect both customers and the broader magical community from potential dangers associated with magical merchandise. Ollivander's Wand Shop exemplifies the highest traditions of specialized magical retail, its centuries of operation serving successive generations of wizarding families while maintaining standards of craftsmanship and customer service that have made the shop synonymous with excellence in wandcraft. The success of such establishments depends on proprietors who understand not just the technical aspects of their products, but the deeper significance these items hold for customers who may be purchasing tools that will define their magical capabilities for decades to come. The inventory management challenges faced by magical retailers include dealing with products that may have limited shelf life, specific storage requirements that account for magical properties, and seasonal variations in demand that reflect astronomical influences, academic schedules, or other factors unique to magical society. Some magical items improve with age, while others deteriorate rapidly if not properly maintained, requiring sophisticated understanding of product characteristics and customer needs. Quality control in magical retail extends beyond simple product inspection to encompass safety testing that ensures items won't cause harm to customers who may lack the expertise to recognize potentially dangerous magical objects. The most responsible retailers maintain relationships with experts who can evaluate products for safety and effectiveness while providing customers with the information they need to use magical items appropriately and safely. Customer service in magical retail often involves education as much as sales, as customers may need guidance about proper use, care, and safety considerations for magical products they're purchasing. The most successful magical retailers develop reputations for expertise and trustworthiness that attract customers who value knowledgeable advice over simple low prices, creating sustainable business models based on long-term customer relationships rather than one-time transactions. Flourish and Blots demonstrates the specialized requirements of magical book retail, where inventory includes texts that may contain active magical properties, require specific handling procedures, or present dangers to inexperienced readers who might attempt to access magical knowledge beyond their current capabilities. The management of such inventory requires understanding of both bibliographic and magical considerations that influence storage, display, and sales procedures. The seasonal nature of much magical book sales, particularly textbooks required for Hogwarts and other educational institutions, requires inventory planning that can accommodate dramatic fluctuations in demand, while maintaining sufficient variety to serve customers whose interests may extend far beyond required reading. The most successful magical bookstores develop relationships with publishers and authors that provide advance notice of new releases, while ensuring access to rare or specialized texts that customers may request. Educational publishing represents a significant portion of magical book sales, with textbook requirements driving much of the seasonal demand that characterizes the industry. However, the most successful bookstores also serve markets for recreational reading, professional reference materials, and specialized research texts that provide steady revenue streams throughout the year while serving diverse customer needs. The authentication and valuation of rare magical books requires expertise that combines traditional bibliographic knowledge with understanding of magical properties that may affect both the desirability and market value of particular texts. Some rare books appreciate in value over time, while others may lose potency or relevance, requiring dealers who can provide accurate assessments of both current worth and future prospects. Apothecary operations, like those found in Diagon Alley, require specialized knowledge of ingredient properties, storage requirements, and quality assessment techniques that ensure customers receive materials suitable for their intended applications. The regulation of ingredient sales includes restrictions on dangerous materials while maintaining access to legitimate supplies needed for medical, educational, and research purposes. The sourcing of potions ingredients involves relationships with suppliers throughout the magical world, as different materials may be available only in specific geographic regions, or during particular seasons when collection conditions are optimal. The most successful apothecaries maintain diverse supplier networks that ensure consistent availability while providing customers with the highest quality materials for their brewing needs. Quality testing for potions ingredients requires understanding of how different factors affect potency and safety, including harvesting conditions, storage methods, processing techniques, and age considerations that influence the effectiveness of finished products. Experienced apothecary proprietors develop skills for evaluating ingredient quality through visual inspection, magical testing, and other assessment methods that protect customers from substandard or dangerous materials. Customer education in apothecary operations includes guidance about proper storage, handling, and use of potions ingredients, while providing safety information that helps customers avoid accidents or dangerous interactions between different materials. The most responsible apothecaries refuse sales when customers lack the knowledge or equipment necessary to handle dangerous ingredients safely. Madame Malkin's robes for all occasions represents the specialized field of magical clothing retail, where garments must combine fashion considerations with functional requirements that may include protection against magical attacks, accommodation of magical devices, or enhancement of the wearer's magical abilities. The success of such establishments depends on proprietors who understand both fashion trends and the practical needs of customers whose clothing choices may affect their magical effectiveness and personal safety. The fitting and alteration of magical clothing requires techniques that account for enchantments woven into fabrics, magical sizing that can adapt to changing body dimensions, and protective features that must maintain their effectiveness even after modifications. Skilled magical tailors develop expertise that allows them to modify enchanted garments without compromising their magical properties while ensuring proper fit and appearance. Seasonal fashion trends in magical clothing reflect both aesthetic preferences and practical considerations related to weather protection, social occasions, and professional requirements that vary throughout the year. The most successful magical clothiers maintain inventory that serves both fashion-conscious customers and those who prioritize practical considerations, while providing custom services for customers with specialized needs. The manufacturing and sourcing of magical textiles involves relationships with suppliers who can provide materials with specific magical properties, from fabrics that resist curse damage to threads that can conduct magical energy for enhanced spellcasting abilities. Quality control in textile sourcing requires understanding of how different materials respond to magical treatment and normal wear conditions. Magical pet shops like the Magical Menagerie serve customers whose needs extend far beyond simple companionship, to include working animals that may serve specialized functions in magical households or businesses. The care and handling of magical creatures for retail sale requires expertise in creature behavior, dietary needs, health maintenance, and legal requirements governing creature commerce. The ethical considerations in magical pet retail include ensuring that customers understand the responsibilities involved in caring for magical creatures, while refusing sales to individuals who may lack the knowledge, resources, or commitment necessary to provide appropriate care. Responsible pet retailers maintain relationships with creature experts who can provide ongoing support and advice to customers throughout their pets' lifetimes. Breeding programs for magical pets require expertise in creature genetics, reproductive biology, and selection techniques that produce healthy animals with desirable characteristics while maintaining genetic diversity that ensures long-term population health. The most successful breeding operations balance commercial considerations with welfare concerns that protect both breeding animals and their offspring. Health certification and veterinary care for magical pets involves collaboration with creature healers who can provide medical services while ensuring that animals sold to customers are healthy and free from conditions that might affect their well-being or create risks for their new owners. Preventive care programs help maintain creature health while building customer relationships that support long-term business success. The hospitality industry in magical communities centers around establishments like the Leaky Cauldron and the Three Broomsticks, which serve not just as accommodation and dining venues, but as social centers where magical folk gather to share news, conduct business, and maintain the relationships that bind communities together across geographic and social boundaries. Innkeeping in magical establishments requires skills that combine traditional hospitality management with understanding of magical security, customer service approaches that account for the diverse backgrounds and needs of magical travelers, and facility management that maintains the comfort and safety of guests who may possess unpredictable magical abilities or attract unwanted attention from enemies or authorities. Tom the innkeeper at the Leaky Cauldron exemplifies the discretion and reliability that characterize successful magical hospitality, providing sanctuary for travelers who may need anonymity while maintaining the welcoming atmosphere that makes his establishment a gathering place for both local residents and visitors from throughout the magical world. Security considerations in magical hospitality include protection against magical attacks, prevention of unauthorized access to restricted areas like Diagon Alley, and management of customers who may be intoxicated, magically impaired, or involved in disputes that could escalate into dangerous confrontations. The most successful magical innkeepers develop skills for diffusing tensions while maintaining order without creating an atmosphere of oppression or suspicion. Accommodation services in magical inns must account for guests whose needs may include specialized dietary requirements, magical equipment storage, and privacy considerations that reflect their individual circumstances or professional activities. Room configurations and amenities must serve diverse clienteles while maintaining cost-effectiveness that ensures business sustainability. Rosmerta's management of the Three Broomsticks demonstrates how successful magical hospitality combines excellent service with community engagement, creating establishments that serve both commercial and social functions while building reputations that attract customers based on quality and atmosphere rather than simple convenience or low prices. Menu planning for magical establishments includes traditional foods enhanced with magical preparation techniques, specialty items that may have magical properties or effects, and beverage selections that cater to diverse tastes, while accounting for magical interactions that might affect customer safety or satisfaction. Butterbeer production and distribution represents a specialized segment of magical beverage industry, with brewing techniques that combine traditional methods with magical enhancement that creates the unique properties that make this drink popular throughout the wizarding world. Quality control in magical brewing requires understanding of both fermentation science and magical theory that governs flavor enhancement and consistency. Staff management in magical hospitality requires hiring and training employees who can provide excellent customer service while handling the unique challenges that arise when serving magical customers whose needs and behaviors may differ significantly from non-magical clientele. The most successful establishments develop staff training programs that address both hospitality skills and magical considerations. Catering services for magical events present unique challenges that combine traditional food service with magical considerations related to guest dietary restrictions, venue requirements, and event security that may be necessary when serving high-profile customers or handling gatherings that might attract unwanted attention. Wedding and celebration catering in magical communities often involves elaborate presentations that combine culinary artistry with magical effects, creating memorable experiences that celebrate important life events while accommodating traditions and customs that vary between different magical cultures and families. The business model for magical catering includes equipment investments that account for magical food preparation techniques, transportation challenges related to maintaining food quality during magical delivery methods, and liability considerations that address the unique risks associated with serving magical foods to diverse clienteles. Seasonal and holiday catering provides opportunities for specialized services during peak demand periods while requiring inventory management and staffing flexibility that can accommodate dramatic variations in business volume throughout the year. Banking services provided by Gringotts extend far beyond simple currency storage and exchange to encompass complex financial relationships that serve the diverse needs of magical customers, whose wealth may include not just standard currency, but valuable artifacts, magical items, and property holdings that require specialized valuation and management services. Goblin-wizard business relationships in banking reflect cultural differences that influence approaches to contracts, property rights, and financial obligations, requiring human customers to understand and respect goblin customs, while goblins provide services that meet wizard expectations for convenience and security. Vault security at Gringotts represents some of the most sophisticated magical protection in existence, combining physical barriers, magical wards, creature guards, and detection systems that protect customer assets, while providing access methods that balance security with practical usability for legitimate account holders. International banking services facilitate trade and financial relationships between magical communities worldwide, providing currency exchange, letters of credit, and investment services that enable commerce and economic development, while managing the complex regulatory requirements that govern international magical finance. Investment and wealth management services help magical customers preserve and grow their assets through diversified portfolios that may include traditional investments, magical artifacts, creature breeding operations, and other specialized assets that require expert evaluation and management. Estate planning and inheritance services address the unique challenges that arise when magical wealth includes items that may have curses, protective enchantments, or other magical properties that affect their transfer to heirs, while ensuring compliance with both magical and inheritance law requirements. Commercial lending supports magical businesses through loans and credit facilities that enable entrepreneurship and business expansion, while managing the unique risks associated with magical commerce, including seasonal variations, regulatory changes, and market factors that affect different sectors of the magical economy. The career satisfaction available in magical commerce and hospitality stems from the direct impact these professions have on the quality of life experienced by magical communities, providing not just essential goods and services, but the social and economic infrastructure that makes magical society prosperous and cohesive. The challenges faced by magical business owners include regulatory compliance with ministry standards, competition from established businesses with long-standing customer relationships, and the need to adapt traditional business models to account for magical considerations that don't exist in non-magical commerce. Professional development opportunities in magical commerce include trade associations that provide networking and education, specialized training programs that address unique aspects of magical business operations, and certification programs that establish industry standards while helping business owners maintain current knowledge of best practices. Innovation in magical commerce continues to create new opportunities for entrepreneurs who can identify unmet needs or develop improved approaches to serving existing markets, with successful innovations often combining traditional business concepts with magical enhancements that provide competitive advantages. In the warm glow of shop lights and the satisfied contentment of customers well served, these dedicated merchants and hospitality professionals continue their essential work of creating the commercial and social environments that transform magical communities from mere collections of individuals into thriving societies where people find not just what they need, but the relationships and experiences that make life meaningful and fulfilling. In the laboratories and workshops where the boundaries of magical knowledge are constantly pushed forward through careful experimentation and bold innovation, there exists a community of researchers and inventors whose dedication to discovery serves not just their own curiosity, but the advancement of magical civilization itself. Tonight, as the gentle hum of magical apparatus continues its tireless work and breakthrough discoveries emerge from patient investigation, let us explore the noble calling of those who dedicate their lives to expanding the frontiers of what magic can accomplish through systematic study and creative application of accumulated wisdom. The field of magical research and development encompasses disciplines that range from purely theoretical investigation of fundamental magical principles to highly practical applications that solve immediate problems facing magical society. The most successful research programs combine both approaches, understanding that theoretical breakthroughs often lead to unexpected practical applications, while practical challenges frequently reveal gaps in theoretical understanding that require new research directions. The Department of Mysteries represents the pinnacle of magical research within government institutions, its unspeakables conducting investigations into questions so fundamental that their findings could revolutionize understanding of magic itself. The secretive nature of this work reflects not just security considerations, but recognition that premature release of research findings could have consequences that extend far beyond the immediate magical community. Research into the nature of time and temporal magic explores questions that challenge basic assumptions about causality, free will, and the fixed nature of historical events. The Time Room's collection of time turners and other temporal devices provides opportunities for investigation that could lead to applications ranging from historical research to emergency response, though the dangers inherent in temporal manipulation require extreme caution and comprehensive safety protocols. The study of death and the afterlife represents one of the most profound research areas, as understanding the magical forces that govern the transition between life and death could revolutionize both healing and security, while potentially revealing fundamental truths about consciousness, identity, and the nature of existence itself. The veil in the Department of Mysteries serves as a focal point for such research, though its properties remain largely mysterious, despite decades of careful investigation. Love research examines the magical properties of emotional bonds and their influence on magical ability, building upon discoveries like the protective power that saved Harry Potter from Voldemort's killing curse. This research area combines magical theory with psychology and philosophy, investigating questions about whether love represents a distinct form of magical energy or emerges from more fundamental forces that govern all magical phenomena. Thought and consciousness research explores the magical aspects of mental function, including the mechanisms that enable legilimency and occlumency, the magical signatures associated with different mental states, and the relationship between consciousness and magical ability. Such research contributes to understanding of magical education, healing of mental trauma, and development of more effective techniques for protecting against mental intrusion. Space and dimensional research investigates the magical properties of physical reality, including the forces that enable apparition, the creation of magically expanded spaces like those found in magical tents and handbags, and the theoretical possibilities for travel to other dimensions or parallel realities. This research area combines magical theory with advanced mathematics and physics, requiring researchers who can integrate multiple disciplines. Prophecy research attempts to understand the mechanisms that enable genuine prediction of future events, the factors that determine which prophecies become self-fulfilling, and the ethical implications of possessing knowledge about future events that might be prevented or encouraged through appropriate action. The Hall of Prophecy provides extensive data for such research, though the interpretation of prophetic information remains largely mysterious. Experimental magic conducted outside government institutions includes private research funded by individuals or organizations with specific interests in particular magical applications. The Weasley twins' development of joke products and practical items demonstrates how entrepreneurial research can produce innovations that serve commercial markets while advancing general understanding of magical principles and applications. Fred and George Weasley's approach to magical innovation combined systematic experimentation with creative problem-solving, developing products that often pushed the boundaries of what was considered possible or appropriate, while maintaining safety standards that protected both themselves and their customers. Their success demonstrated how independent research could compete with established institutions while serving markets that larger organizations might ignore. The development of skiving snack boxes required understanding of magical biology and potion chemistry, sufficient to create products that could reliably induce specific symptoms while providing antidotes that would reverse the effects, without causing permanent harm. Such research demanded both theoretical knowledge and extensive testing to ensure product safety and effectiveness. Extendable ears represented innovation in magical surveillance technology, creating devices that could extend magical hearing over considerable distances while maintaining sound quality and avoiding detection by standard privacy protections. The development of such products required research into magical acoustics and concealment techniques that had applications extending far beyond their original commercial purpose. The Marauder's Map exemplifies the kind of innovative magical research that can emerge from student projects when talented individuals apply their abilities to problems that interest them. The creation of such a detailed and dynamic mapping system required breakthroughs in magical cartography, detection techniques, and enchantment durability that represented significant advances in multiple areas of magical theory. James Potter, Sirius Black, Remus Lupin, and Peter Pettigrew's development of animagus transformations during their school years demonstrated how collaborative research could achieve results that individual efforts might not accomplish, combining different perspectives and abilities while sharing the risks and rewards of dangerous experimental work. The mapping enchantments that track individual movement throughout Hogwarts required understanding of magical signatures and detection methods that could distinguish between different individuals while maintaining accuracy over extended periods and large areas. The password protection and security features that prevented unauthorized access demonstrated sophisticated understanding of magical authentication and access control. Innovation in magical transportation continues to create new possibilities for travel and communication, with researchers exploring improvements to existing methods while investigating entirely new approaches that might offer advantages in speed, safety, convenience, or cost-effectiveness. The development of improved portkey technology focuses on creating more comfortable travel experiences while enhancing security features that prevent unauthorized use or interception during transport. Research in this area combines magical theory with practical engineering considerations that account for the diverse needs of potential users. Flu network enhancements investigate ways to expand network coverage while improving reliability and reducing the maintenance requirements that currently limit the system's growth potential. Such research requires understanding of the complex magical infrastructure that supports network operations, while identifying opportunities for technological advancement. Apparition research explores possibilities for extending the range and reliability of magical transportation, while developing training methods that could reduce the time and effort required to achieve competency. The most promising research areas include investigation of the factors that limit apparition distance and techniques for reducing the concentration required for successful transport. Broomstick technology continues to advance through research into aerodynamics, magical propulsion, and safety features that make flying more accessible and enjoyable for wizards with varying levels of skill and experience. The most successful innovations combine improved performance with enhanced safety, while maintaining the traditional appeal that makes broomstick flying culturally significant. The development of racing brooms like the Firebolt demonstrates how commercial competition drives technological advancement, with manufacturers investing heavily in research that produces performance improvements that attract customers while establishing their reputations for excellence and innovation. Safety research in broomstick development includes investigation of protective charms, emergency features, and design modifications that reduce the likelihood and severity of accidents while maintaining the performance characteristics that make advanced brooms desirable for serious flyers. Medical magic research encompasses investigations that range from developing new healing techniques to understanding the magical aspects of disease and injury that might reveal improved treatment approaches. The most promising research areas combine magical theory with medical knowledge, while maintaining ethical standards that protect research subjects and ensure that new treatments are safe and effective. The study of magical maladies unique to wizarding society requires specialized research approaches that account for the complex interactions between magical exposure and biological systems. Conditions like lycanthropy and curse damage represent research challenges that don't have parallels in non-magical medicine. Spell damage research investigates the long-term effects of magical injuries, while developing treatment approaches that can reverse or mitigate damage that was previously considered permanent. The most advanced research in this area combines magical healing with understanding of how magical energy interacts with living tissue. Potion research continues to develop new formulations while improving existing recipes through better understanding of ingredient properties and brewing techniques. The most successful research programs combine traditional potion-making knowledge with modern analytical methods that can identify the active compounds responsible for therapeutic effects. Street Mungo's research programs investigate clinical applications of magical healing while conducting studies that advance general understanding of magical medicine. The hospital's patient population provides opportunities for research that might not be possible in purely academic settings, while ensuring that research serves practical needs for improved patient care. Magical creature research includes studies of creature, biology, behavior, and magical properties that contribute to conservation efforts, while advancing general understanding of magical ecosystems and the relationships between different magical species. Dragon research encompasses studies of dragon biology, intelligence, and magical properties, while developing better approaches to dragon management and conservation. The Romanian Dragon Sanctuary and similar facilities provide opportunities for long-term research that would be impossible in other settings. Unicorn research faces unique challenges related to the purity requirements that limit who can approach these creatures, requiring researchers whose personal characteristics allow them to conduct studies while respecting the magical properties that make unicorns both valuable and vulnerable. Phoenix research investigates the regenerative abilities and magical properties that make these creatures unique, though the rarity of phoenixes and their tendency to bond with specific individuals limits research opportunities while creating ethical considerations about appropriate research methods. Conservation research addresses the challenges facing endangered magical species while developing strategies for habitat protection, population recovery, and sustainable management that balances conservation needs with legitimate human activities that may affect creature welfare. Environmental magic research investigates the magical properties of natural ecosystems while developing techniques for environmental restoration and protection that use magical methods to address problems that conventional approaches cannot solve effectively. Climate magic research explores the possibilities for using magical techniques to address weather modification, environmental cleanup, and agricultural enhancement. While understanding the complex interactions between magical interventions and natural systems, that must be considered to avoid unintended consequences. Magical agriculture research develops techniques for improving crop yields, pest management, and soil fertility through magical methods, while maintaining sustainable practices that protect both agricultural productivity and environmental quality. The most successful programs combine traditional agricultural knowledge with magical innovation. Herbology research continues to discover new magical plants while developing improved cultivation techniques for existing species that serve medical, commercial, or research purposes. The greenhouse facilities at Hogwarts and other institutions provide controlled environments for research that might not be possible in natural settings. Magical plant breeding programs develop new varieties with enhanced properties while maintaining genetic diversity that ensures long-term species health. Such programs require understanding of both magical botany and genetics, while respecting ethical considerations about appropriate modification of natural species. Alchemy research builds upon ancient foundations while incorporating modern understanding of magical theory and experimental methods. Contemporary alchemists investigate transmutation possibilities, magical material properties, and applications that serve practical needs while advancing theoretical understanding. The quest for creating new forms of magical matter represents one of the most challenging research areas, requiring understanding of fundamental magical forces while developing techniques that can manipulate matter at levels that approach the philosophical foundations of reality itself. Transmutation research investigates the possibilities for converting ordinary materials into magical substances while understanding the energy requirements and safety considerations that make such transformations both difficult, potentially dangerous. Magical metallurgy develops new alloys and materials with enhanced magical properties, while improving techniques for working with existing magical materials like goblin silver, dragon hide, and unicorn hair that serve specialized applications. Crystal research explores the magical properties of various minerals, while developing applications that range from magical focus enhancement to energy storage and transmission systems that could revolutionize magical technology. The development of new magical devices continues to create possibilities that previous generations could not imagine, combining traditional magical knowledge with innovative approaches that serve contemporary needs while anticipating future requirements. Communication device research investigates improvements to existing magical communication methods, while exploring entirely new approaches that might offer advantages in range, security, reliability, or ease of use. Detection device innovation builds upon the foundations established by inventors like Alastor Moody, while developing more sophisticated and reliable instruments that can identify increasingly subtle threats and deceptions. Magical computing research explores possibilities for creating magical devices that can process information, store knowledge, and perform calculations using magical rather than electronic principles, potentially creating entirely new categories of magical technology. Energy research investigates magical power sources and storage methods that could provide more efficient and convenient alternatives to existing magical energy systems, while understanding the theoretical principles that govern magical energy, conversion, and utilization. The career paths available in magical research and innovation attract individuals whose intellectual curiosity and creative abilities motivate them to pursue questions and challenges that may not have immediate practical applications but contribute to the long-term advancement of magical knowledge and capability. Academic research careers provide opportunities for investigation that serves primarily educational and theoretical purposes while contributing to the scholarly literature that advances general understanding. The most successful academic researchers develop expertise that attracts students and funding, while producing discoveries that influence both theory and practice. Industrial research careers focus on developing practical applications that serve commercial markets while advancing technological capabilities that benefit both businesses and consumers. These careers often provide more immediate feedback about research success while requiring attention to market needs and commercial viability. Government research careers address questions that serve public policy needs while contributing to national security and public welfare through investigations that private or academic institutions might not undertake. Such careers often involve classified work that cannot be published or discussed openly. Independent research careers provide maximum flexibility and creative freedom while requiring researchers to identify their own funding sources and research directions. The most successful independent researchers often develop expertise that attracts consulting opportunities while pursuing investigations that interest them personally. The ethical considerations inherent in magical research include questions about appropriate limits on experimental subjects, responsible development, and release of potentially dangerous knowledge, and the balance between scientific advancement and social responsibility that all researchers must navigate. Research safety protocols address the unique dangers associated with magical experimentation, while providing frameworks for conducting investigations that minimize risks to researchers, subjects, and the broader community that might be affected by research activities or outcomes. Institutional review processes ensure that research proposals meet ethical and safety standards, while providing oversight that protects both researchers and subjects from inappropriate or dangerous research practices. The publication and dissemination of research findings requires careful consideration of security implications and potential applications, while ensuring that valuable discoveries contribute to general knowledge advancement rather than remaining hidden or unused. In the quiet dedication of researchers working late into the night to solve problems that may not have answers and inventors pursuing visions that others consider impossible, these pioneers of magical knowledge continue their essential work of expanding the boundaries of what magic can accomplish, while ensuring that progress serves the betterment of all magical society. As our journey through the countless careers of the wizarding world draws to its peaceful close, let yourself be filled with wonder at the vast possibilities that magic creates for those willing to dedicate their lives to mastery and service. From the bravest auror tracking dark wizards through shadow to the gentlest healer mending both body and spirit, each profession represents a calling that goes beyond mere employment to become a lifelong commitment to the betterment of magical society. Whether drawn to the scholarly pursuit of ancient knowledge, the thrill of discovering magical creatures in far-off lands, the satisfaction of crafting perfect potions, or the joy of teaching young minds to harness their magical gifts, remember that every career in our world is connected to something greater than individual ambition. Each profession serves the delicate balance that keeps our magical community thriving while hidden from those who would not understand. Sleep now. Dream of the path that calls to your heart, and know that in the wizarding world, there is a place for every talent, every passion, every dream of making magic meaningful. Rest well, future professional of the magical arts, and may your dreams be filled with the endless possibilities that await.